You just joined us on YouTube.
Yeah, oh, I've just knocked the other cameras off.
Did you like that sandwich, Rich?
It was alright, wasn't it?
I didn't want to bite, honest. Good job, really.
Looks like he needs a sandwich as well.
It looks like he's just seeing.
Have you had a shock?
Coiffured his hair?
No, I just do that.
Has he stuck his
I'm like, you know,
fingers
like
in
Ken
a light
Dodd.
socket?
You know, I was watching Ken Dodd documentary over Christmas. You know that.
Alright, looking quite suave, actually.
Not intentional.
No.
We need, you know, in a week where headlines have been made by people called Schofield, he's not here.
No. Anyway, you were saying you've got
Yes.
some big news.
Well, from him.
All right, okay.
What, Philip? Oh no,
I've got some big news. We've upgraded biscuits after last week's controversy.
Biscuit game.
And I've got half a biscuit in my cup of tea, so I'm feeling a bit sad now. Anyway, there's some big news. What is it?
Big news is he has said that in his opinion, Mark Sneyd had his best ever game for Hull.
Get him on the list. Get him on the list.
You
He's
know
not
what?
well. He's not well, is he? He's not well.
He's not well,
Schofield.
He's not well. But I think even though he's not well, I would agree with that. A lot of the whole problem for me, it's easy to say problem 1, 2 out of 2. I even got out of second gear. Some would argue, is not their number 7, it's their number 6, in my opinion.
Having had a brilliant game in round 1, largely anonymous in round 2, and
Yes.
that's the inconsistency that they've got to.
That's it. And
overcome.
I just wonder in really big games. Yes, he'll do a moment of brilliance that might win you a game. But does he do the 7 and 8 out of 10 that win you more big games? I want to ask you. I think that team is built for Mark Sneyd now. Sneyd doesn't have to do anything.
Well, the one thing that the 165th best player in the world ever said was it's the first time he's really seen him take the line on.
Yeah.
Now he's probably doing that behind the best pack of forwards he's played behind.
He did do that a little bit at Cass, though, I thought. When I saw him at Cass that year, he played on the front foot. But I'm with you. I thought he played really well.
And the try that he scored was backing up the move that he started, which again, you know, it's in his game. It's clearly he can do it, but does he do it enough? Well, if he's going to play like that all year,
he's going to have a big year.
He's going to be.
He's going to have a big year.
He's going to be a top player.
We like Mark Sneyd.
And if he's being endorsed by the man who couldn't quite get to Peter Sterling's dinner, then
I think he was a bit upset about that.
He was.
Yeah, when I
think he hoped Sterling would pop round for a pot of tea, but
he didn't make it to the Belle Isle Massacre.
Very
good.
Shock revelations. He's not here, but still controversial.
Yeah. You know what I got all yesterday was about the storm. Allied's still in crisis. That's what I was getting hammered. And I'm like, hang on, I didn't even play.
We're in floodwater, we know.
But someone then said, well, they haven't lost this week. I said, yeah, but you're only as good as your last performance, which means this.
And Kirkstall's flooded, which means the season's written off.
I mean, we're laughing about that, but is that bad or not?
No, it's not. It's nowhere near what it was like in 2015 because
we shouldn't laugh about that.
They've fitted floodgates and the bulk of the water that broke from the River Aire has been diverted. So the pitches were underwater, but most of the actual building is okay.
No, that is good news. I say that sincerely.
Government have done something good.
Yeah.
Shock.
Exactly.
Shock.
Wakefield were off yesterday.
Yeah, that's a shame.
And tonight we were very nearly
we were
broadcasting
going
live from
live.
Belgium.
Yeah, I think that's what tipped it over
I
the
did
edge.
pop in to the home of Rugby League this morning to pick up my tripod, and it's a bit wet.
Bit wet.
Here's Nick. Well, this bit harsh. For those new to Rugby League, Wakefield Stadium has not been destroyed in the storm. It always looked like that.
Hey!
Very harsh. Neo banned.
Eh?
Next time you go to Bellevue, I don't know where you're from. Where are you from, Nick? Who do you support? You're not coming in. I'll get you circulating on the gates. You're not coming in.
That's what kind of power this guy's got now. That's what kind of power you see. Don't mess with this now.
This is team and you're gone.
Yeah. We'll have a talk about it. My planned trip. My debut was watching the New Bradford Bull postponed.
Well, I noticed that as you saw the weather turn increasingly worse, you were praying that it would be cancelled.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I went out Saturday. I had a few pints, and then Sunday you get up and you think, yeah, I'm ready to go. And then you look out the window and you think, oh no, I want to go to the rugby. I want to stand out, have a couple of beers, watch it, not be like. And then there were 4 of us going, and there were messages were going around. Oh, it's called off. It's called off, and it was called off. That was the longest pitch inspection ever, or safety inspection ever, wasn't it?
I mean, again,
it's in June though. It's on a Sunday in June, so I may well go.
Sunny summer Sunday in June
Hopefully.
with your t-shirt.
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully.
We've banged on for nearly 6 years now about the season starts too early. we've now got this ludicrous situation where Catalan Dragons have got to come for 2 midweek games.
Yeah.
Unless the Challenge Cup means that both they and some of their teams are knocked out early. But why did we schedule Catalan
against
St Helens?
I couldn't believe that when I read that. How thick is that? Really? How thick is that?
When teams are always putting in, we can't play this
they
day,
have got
or
a
we
game.
don't want to play.
Yeah.
I know, we'll give them
Yeah.
the team that can't
the
get
best
here
one
in
in the
midweek
world.
when we rearrange it.
Give them a Salford or someone just up the road where would be minimal.
I tell you, it's a good job as well that it wasn't the Sydney Roosters that were due here this weekend. Could you pop back in midweek?
Yeah.
No.
They may well have played.
For all our viewers, please like, subscribe, share, and all the things you're supposed to do. All the proper people do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's all right. He's getting better.
He's all right. He's
apart from, obviously,
he's injured.
he thought Martin had a good game, so we're going to get him checked out about that because that's not his
it's obviously
himself. But
concussion.
Yeah.
No, he is
The
genuinely.
choice is entirely his. He's not fit.
He's on the payroll,
He's
whatever that means, but he
He'll
is.
be back.
But he's,
well, that
he's
means he could
not
have a biscuit if
available.
he was here.
He's coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got extra biscuits this week. We're doing well.
Less people, more biscuits. That seems an equitable relationship.
It does.
It's not
Yeah.
like Toronto, less people in your squad, the more biscuits they get. Sonny Bill Williams has all the biscuits.
He's not just done a Brian Mack then, has he? Just because he lost,
turned
just
up.
not turned up.
I'll tell you what.
He's waiting
Actually-
outside the front door. He's not coming in.
I'm trying to think what am I allowed to say these days or what am I not allowed to say. I'll tell you what.
Bear in
I say-
mind that Brian McDermott lives just down the road.
I
Be
like
very
Bri-
careful.
we like Brian McDermott.
What, you
We
mean
like
he's
him.
not flown back to
Right.
Toronto ahead of the trip to Wigan on Thursday?
To Manchester.
How's that now? Why has he not done
Right. We like Brian McDermott. He's great. He was hilarious at that wheelchair awards doing last week.
Yes.
Which
For
I understand the subject of his joke may have well been in the room at that point as well.
Good.
for those that knew, they knew.
So we like Brian, and you interviewed him before at the launch, and you got some great stuff out of it.
Yeah, we like Brian. Big fans. Yes, Brian. Yes, Brian.
He didn't write that statement. He didn't say those words. No way. Because he knows he's going to go in after they've lost. Come on.
You might have had a flight to catch.
To Manchester Airport, yeah, from Leeds Bradford. I'm back.
I thought they were going to win actually at the weekend.
Well, I
They
tipped
were
them, so
narrowly
well.
beaten, weren't they? Narrowly beaten, 24-16.
Incredible.
Yeah, improving, but no Sonny Bill this week for their trip to
No,
Wigan.
nor the week after, I don't think. I think he's
Ah.
gone for a couple.
Well, a Wigan supporting colleague of mine said that was the worst Wigan performance in 10 years at the weekend at Cass. I had a lot of Cass fans getting stuck in
Cass. I think that's a fantastic result for Cass.
I agree. We'll get into it in a bit more detail. But you said we're going to fish in the bottom four with 2 rounds in. You want to go early? I'm not saying that I didn't think they'd win. I didn't think they'd win, and they've had a good start, and I hope they continue on their good form. I like Cass. Everyone knows that.
Top of the league, having a laugh.
Apart from when they lost to Wigan in that semi-final.
Great media executive there. He's great.
Yeah. So there you go. So so they've gone early. There's a lot of people going early. 2 games in. Sid's been on. Oh, if something good Calby bottom. Yeah, I actually do, Sid. Yeah, if I'm honest. Yeah, maybe they're more Toronto, I think, now. We'll see. Anything you want to discuss?
As long as you don't say wait for that's all right. What do you want to talk about? Rugby?
Well, I think that'd be a good idea.
I think we should save the greatest thing until later.
Yeah, although people should message in their greatest 5 players.
I mean, Carsten has already said, let's all vote for Sir Kev to make the joke real, which is a bit harsh.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get on to that in a bit.
It has not
it's
been
a
done by the
flawed-
RFL, as I was politely reminded in a message yesterday.
It's under their 125th birthday celebration.
Yeah,
So
tweeted from their account.
It
Yeah,
is
it's
something
them.
that they've
It is their fault.
instigated,
Yeah.
but they're not. It's like nobody's owned up to why the 5 choices were on the statue, have they?
No.
Because you can't. You know what? Right, here's the
You
thing.
not
I don't want to get
have
into-
said that they've gone right. Neil Fox. Whatever happens, Neil Fox is
Especially
on
as
it.
we messed up with the statue.
Whatever happens,
Yeah.
however you do it, he's on it. He's on it.
All right, we're going on this now, aren't we? So
Well, we'll have to mention it.
Right. I mean, you could make an argument that Neil Fox isn't Wakefield's greatest ever player, and you could say it's Jonty Parkins. That's fine. The problem with this whole thing is, as with anything you put to the public, because the public are going to vote on this now, and like the statue, all the Wigan fans will vote for all the Wigan people. So it'll be someone from Wigan or something, or Leeds will vote for Kevin Simpson because they're all from Leeds, or Ellery Hanley. So it's not actually the right answer, because the right answer will be given by people who are genuine historians of the sport and know about everything from 1895 onwards and can judge You can't judge players in different eras against
Is
each
it
other.
impossible, Mister?
Yes, it is.
Impossible, Mister.
It
It's
is
impossible with 5.
Yeah.
You can't narrow any sport. You couldn't do it with football, table tennis, America. You cannot pick 5 people.
No.
You can't compare across different eras because the rules of the sport have changed. So again, how can you say that somebody in an era where the game was specific would be transcending all the other eras?
How do we know that Billy Boston could have done it on a wet Thursday night in Salford? We don't know.
In
this.
1895.
Would Tom Johnson have scored all those tries if the corner flag was still in place?
Yeah, exactly.
In Super League, we have had full-time professionalism, which has changed the game. Up to 1906, we played rugby union.
Yeah.
There were some great players in the opening 10 years of the sport, but they were all playing the same rules as rugby union. So you cannot compare. So don't do it. What would have made sense in the 125th year, as a celebration of a 125-year-old birthday in August, would be to have your 125 best players, maybe.
Mm.
And then every team could have had 5.
Yeah.
And
As
then,
voted for by their own fans.
yeah, so it would have been
Yeah.
you're not saying anybody's better than anybody else. You're just saying here's a list of 125 players who've made a discernible contribution to the sport.
Yeah.
So, what was the criteria? These 125 super fans, which is a terrible name to give people anyway, because most people who call themselves super fans are complete morons who give themselves that title because they think they're better than everyone because they go to every game, which is not necessarily the reason why someone's a fan. However, what categorises these players as the greatest? How, on a list of 5, like Wally Lewis is on there, right, who played 10 games in this country for Wakefield Trinity.
But then if you...
is it Australian career?
Well,
Why not Darren Lockyer, Jonathan Thurston?
Well, if you're opening it up to the greatest players who've ever played,
Exactly.
forget the 5 here.
Kev's nowhere near this, is he? And there's no disrespect to Kevin Sinfield.
How can you do it?
It turns into, well, Kevin Sinfield won all these trophies at Leeds. Yes, he did, but he had a great team around him. And if you are a great player in a bad team, or a great player in a team which isn't going to win anything, someone close to us may well have been a great player in a team which wasn't going to win anything because all the best players were somewhere else. That doesn't mean you're a better player. Ryan Bailey's got loads of medals because he was in a great Leeds side, but it doesn't mean he's the greatest prop forward of all time. And there are no forwards in this list. It's almost as if the forwards are irrelevant. So all the pretty boys
there is a flaw in who is making the selection, but even bigger than that, there is a flaw in the fact that we don't know the criteria.
Yeah.
So that if you've got a Hall of Fame, be it the RFL or at a club, normally the first thing you do is decide who would be eligible to be in that Hall of Fame. Therefore, how many games did they play? Blah blah blah. Whatever it is becomes immutable over time. So that you don't choose it, they choose themselves by their record. We've gone 125 people who are supporters of the game, pick 5 names. Well, there's clearly going to be nobody from the annals of history, because you're going to pick the people you've seen or you know about. Well, that's not representative, is it?
If you were to pick the greatest Wakefield Trinity side of all time, and I don't know enough about the history of the club to say it otherwise, you'd probably pick the team of the 60s and put Johnny Parker in there and maybe Dave Topless as well. Because there's no one else since has done anything that would get in there. But I just don't know. I wonder if they've done it on purpose, in a sense that you stick Kevin Sinfield in there, and again, this sounds like a Kevin Sinfield witch hunt, and it's not. He's one of the great captains of this era, and that's been proven. But you put him in there, and everyone immediately goes on social media, which is a cesspit, we know this, to immediately flag up this, and then everyone's talking about it. It's given them lots of publicity.
If it's to generate interest in the 125th birthday of Rugby League, fine. But if that's all it is, just say that's all it is. Don't make out it's a genuine attempt to find 5 of the greatest players worldwide who ever played the sport.
A public poll will never find the right answer because they don't have the knowledge.
No, and that's it's right. It's mission impossible, but being handled very badly, I think. Very badly. Now let us know if you have to pick one of your from your own club, the one greatest player you've seen, you've heard about, whatever. Tell us who it is.
And virtually every club now has a heritage group.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody on that heritage group necessarily is a professor of sports history, but what they have got is an intimate knowledge of the history of the club. If you went to each of the club's heritage groups and said, give us your top 5 players across the years, you've got something pretty representative then of the sport. And if you then go to historians, of which we know quite a few that you would say are eminent, and say we're going to open it to worldwide, so we clearly have to have the Dally Messengers in there because without them there wouldn't be a sport to talk about. You will get a representative selection of the players who've made the greatest impact on the sport, most of whom will have done that on the field and their record would speak for themselves. Some of them will be people that changed the course of the sport. And they are as important. Yeah.
Changed the transfer market. He was John Mark Bosman 100 years before Bosman existed. Well, not quite 100.
What, so where did Wakefield nick him from then?
No, he bought out of his contract at Wakefield to go to Hull KR because Wakefield wasn't playing.
So he's a traitor and you want to vote for him?
Because he's one of the greatest players ever in the history of my club. Mind you can't leave things to the public because Wakefield's team of the last decade had one glaring example of a player in there who should be nowhere near the greatest of anything.
Fafita.
No, not Big Dave. His predecessor. They are doing
Michael Cook-Edon.
Indeed. They're doing a lot of, yeah, he was in the team of the decade.
I wonder if he's going to.
Can't trust people.
Is he going to play for Greece in the forthcoming World Cup at the age of 50?
Well, we can only hope, can't we? Especially if you're England. If you Sean Wayne, you're thinking sign
I think Greece needs to be at the Mobile Rocket Stadium then, if that's the case.
Epic game, wouldn't it? Have you seen the other lists of 125 things they're looking? Well, no. The list of the greatest things over 125 years. So we've got the greatest player. They're going early with the biggest one. So here's the rest. Number 2, greatest try. Wide to West.
It's got to be.
Wide to West.
It has to be, doesn't it?
Or Jonathan
That
Davis
was
at
the
Wembley.
sports Aguero
Well, the thing
moment.
is, right, you've got that. You've got Jonathan Davis at Wembley. You've got Martin Fire at Wembley. But we don't know any tries from the old days because they're not on video.
Yeah.
Because video wasn't invented.
Yeah.
Greatest coach. John Boney. Because he won all the things at Wigan. Ian Millward.
You've got to define the difference between trainer and coach because we didn't have coaches. That's a modern concept.
Greatest team. It's going to be Wigan, isn't it? Because all the Wigan fans.
Well, is it
are Northerners.
worldwide though? Again, like the.
Well, so it's just Australia in 1970 to 2019. Yeah. Greatest Challenge Cup final moment. There's only 2. There are only 2.
Nathan Graham not catching that high ball.
Poor old dog.
I saw him the other day, Nathan. Nathan Graham didn't catch it, did he?
Did you cry when you saw it?
You know what the
I cried when I
dispiriting
saw the
thing?
replay.
You know what the dispiriting thing about that is when you sat at the other end. It was at the old Wembley. It was at the old Wembley, wasn't it? And you just see all the Saints fans jump up. And this thing, I can't remember, but it felt like they scored about 4 tries in 10 minutes. I think it was something like that.
It was, I think.
And it was like, jeez. I just remember going back to the hotel. I was stunned. We were all like stunned at what we thought we'd won and then didn't win.
Some of the other players before I get back to the list of people who should be on the list, or people think they should be on the list: Martin Afire, Peter Sterling, Lewis Jones, Scully, Mal Meninga, Frank Myler, Kurt Sorensen, Willie Horn, Gus Risman, Phil Sculthorpe, Paul Sculthorpe, post 1995. Plenty of names out there which all, if they were on the list, you'd go.
It's made some fantastic players, haven't they?
Yeah,
absolutely. You can't, some brilliant ones, really.
So elsewhere on the list, greatest shock, Sheffield.
Yeah, that was good. I was there for that.
Greatest game, 85 cup final. I'm just giving out the stock answers here that people are going to come up with. I don't know. Greatest Ashes moment. That'd be one in my lifetime.
No.
I don't know.
No.
That seems a bit of a very narrow category to go for. Especially in the...
When was the last Ashes test?
That we won?
No, when was the last one?
In
not in a World Cup. Or when was the last series?
Was it 2003 or something?
Yeah. We Tri-Nations was 2005, wasn't it? So it would be
2001 we played
the 2003 series where Great Britain lost every game in the last 6 minutes.
Yes, the series in which Morley got sent off in the first.
And David Waite was the coach, and nobody said he can't because he's Australian, because we very nearly beat
picked all the second
Australians.
rowers. Yeah. So their greatest Ashes moment is Adrian Morley, because I can't think of any other. So tweet the RFL. No, don't tweet the RFL.
No, I don't.
The results of each greatest poll will be revealed in a series of short films, exclusively for our league members, and on Twitter. So it's
presumably that's why nobody can be nominated who we haven't got film of.
85 males and 40 females make up the 125 superfans panel.
It'll be like fantasy football. They'll do a Phoenix from the Flames. We'll
Recreate.
Yes, Johnson Park inside for
Play
Waite.
are you wearing? Play are you wearing?
Yeah.
The youngest superfan is 18. Now, no, this is 16. Now, no disrespect to a 16-year-old.
What do they know?
I don't know anything. I'm nearly 40. I don't know everything.
No.
The oldest is nearly 90. They support 35 different clubs. One can hope that Blackpool Borough are in there and stuff. It's a good idea, but as with everything,
it's been really poorly
look,
done.
make it 125 of everything.
Yeah.
Don't make it 5.
125 great Ashes moments.
Why? Can I ask? And this is another intriguing thing that you look now and it's going to be on our league. There's a lot of Super League stuff on our league, but our league's an RFL thing, and Super League is a Super League thing. And as we've seen,
and Israel Folau falls between both.
As we've seen last week,
he falls between those.
There is a difference and a split between the two. So why? I don't understand why that is happening. I don't understand that. It's a weird one. I think the lines are getting murky here.
Which in some ways is a good thing, because when the lines get murky, it's easiest to pull it all back into one. Because then people see we're over duplicating resources.
Yes. We've got 2 leaders of our sport at the minute. They're like boxing, aren't we?
Leaders.
We've got a WBO version and an IBF version.
Which I don't want to say which one's which though.
No.
Like the darts.
We've got to mention the fallout from the Folau thing, because it's been a farce, really. Look, whatever the decision that was made, right now, I became aware of the fact that people had been told not to talk about it. Chris Chester, I think, confirmed that he'd been told specifically he wasn't allowed to talk about it. So he's been silenced by Super League, one would presume.
Censorship.
Well, I should say
don't.
that Super League say they haven't said that.
So is he lying then, Chris Chester?
I would not say Chris Chester is a liar.
Okay.
And I don't believe Chris Chester is a liar.
Okay. So there's been something.
Thanks
so
for
then,
that
how is it then that Robert Elston goes on a TV show that he's sanctioned
He's on TV.
to give his version of events? And I have to say, I thought his initial statement at the Super League clubs was weak, poor. And then when he went into explaining why the decision had been made, I thought that made it even worse. He was asked about signing it and he went, I'll have to think about it. Now, it's the old Timmy Mallet thing. When you go, word association, Israel Folau, no. And that's it. There would have been no other word. No, sorry, no, it's not happening. And I wonder, had he have gone and went, no, it's not happening. And if you chase this, I'm going to speak to all the clubs and we're going to vote on this is not happening. And I wonder if that had have happened, if they'd have gone, no, we better just back off a bit here. I don't know. But I just look at the way it's been handled. It's been a PR disaster, I think, for Rob Elston.
I think the statement that was read after the Super League meeting is ridiculous. Because if you look at the 3-paragraph content, it basically says we're about to bolt the door after the horse has bolted. But what we're going to do is change the laws that we have no control over anyway.
But they're not
So
going to. It's a gentleman's agreement. There are no laws there.
You can't change it because you've already admitted it's the RFL that made the decision. So what are you going to do?
But at the same time, they say, "Oh well, we're going to change it. We're going to have an agreement whereby this can't happen again." Well, we were told they already had an agreement about that anyway. So if, for instance, Wigan or Leeds decide, "Oh, we're going to sign him," and they go, "Oh, we've already offered him a contract, lads. It's too late. You can't do anything about it," and that's what's going to happen again.
I think the other thing it shows is there's no accord, genuine mutual respect between the. Now I know Catalan's view of the world is slightly different because they're isolated a little bit in a community that a bit like Rugby League itself has always felt it was neither French nor Spanish, and that they fight for everything and they believe they're the underdog in everything. And I sort of get that Bernard Gouache didn't really perhaps fully appreciate why anybody would object to them signing Israel Folau, that it was their business, and that if they wanted to make that decision and could justify that decision to themselves and their fans and their sponsors, that why would anybody else have a say in that? Because I'm not sure that their concept of what is best for the game as a whole is necessarily paramount in their mind. I think that they're perhaps only interested in keeping their business going in the Dragons, and that raises a separate point: is Israel Folau actually a good sign? Are they paying a hell of a lot of money for someone who's a risk?
Well, yeah, but it'd be interesting if he has a great season. He's only got a 1-year deal and wants him next year.
But what I'm saying as well is that if they thought he was a real genuine potential performer, offer him a 3-year deal or a 2-year deal with an option for it. To me, it's an expensive
gamble.
Yeah, but I think this is the first time that I should mention there's a new 4020 out later this week. We've taken into account, I think, all of the views on the Folau case. It's a wide-ranging. We haven't set out to have an edition about Israel Folau. It's just a lot of people want to speak about it in the columns.
It's a big issue.
And one of the responses is from the Dragons and people within French Rugby League, and they don't see it as such an issue as we do. They don't even see it necessarily as a morality issue. They just see it as if a club has taken the necessary steps to get assurances from a player, the club has the right to sign a player. Now, I think what we've done wrong is we haven't decided what the rules are to sign a player in future.
Yeah.
So all we've ended up with is whataboutery. You know, well, if we're going to sign Israel Folau, what about Zach Hardacre? Or what about...
The NRL stood Ben Barber down, didn't they? They stood him down, which meant that Super League then could say, oh, he's not welcome here. So again, they're following that rule. But there are people play here with the same convictions that he's got, the same accusations that he's got.
And I think
there's no consistency there.
Going back to the point of there doesn't seem to be A, leadership, and B, accord amongst all the clubs as to what's right or wrong for the competition as a whole. Somebody needed to say to Catalan Dragons in a position of leadership, if you're going to sign him, there's a couple of things you need to do for which we as a sport can stand behind you because it's progressive. One is make him take down his social media stuff.
Yeah.
Contingent upon him signing, but you know, it's your choice.
But now he's a Super League player, why can we not go and say, right, if that's not taken down, you're getting banned?
Yeah, but the first thing you do is say, look, if for us to even accept his registration, that has to come down.
Yeah.
And because in any other walk of life, you would not leave that posted and keep your job.
Yeah.
The other thing is, here is our code of conduct. This is what we stand for. In here is our commitment to inclusivity. And every player has to sign it. So the choice is Israel Folau. He either signs the fact that he acknowledges there is...
As we've said before, if you apologise, no one can do anything about it.
And that's the issue. It's not about... So again, it shouldn't be about any form of censorship, but what have we done? We've censored anybody from talking about it.
Yeah.
So there's again another hypocrisy.
Can we go back though to the old how has this been dealt with? It's been a disaster.
It's not been dealt with. That's the thing.
Do you think there was a phone call between Ralph Rimmer and Robert Elston that went, we need to sort this out? We can't sort it out. The RFL, we can't sort it out because if it goes to court, we don't have the means to fight it. You might have the means to fight it. Do you want to? How are we going to address it as a sport?
I think two things have happened. Catalan, in their opinion, in all good faith, have registered a player. Now, whether that is good faith or not, talking about faith, that's a wider issue for the game. But Bernard Gouache, through a recommendation from his coach, Steve McNamara, said, we want this player.
Are we disappointed by Steve McNamara?
Just a bit disappointed by some of the things he's saying at the moment, because it's almost again as if he's not acknowledging that behind this there is a need to be sensitive a little bit to, at least let's see the guy play before you start telling us how good he's going to be or what impact he's going to make. It's almost as like, I get that there's a PR value in France and that they might get some people turning up to watch him play, that the Sky have been down there and tried to get interviews. So clearly from a PR point of view, they're bulling him up. But I just think as a coach, you probably keep your powder a little bit dry until at least he's played. But I think the going back to what you were saying, I think there were probably two conversations that went on at the same time. The RFL got the intention to register a player. Their first reaction would have been to take legal advice. Are we going to be sued? At the same time, I am guessing that Ralph Rimmer then rang his counterpart Robert Elston and said, we have a problem as a game because Catalan Dragons want to register somebody who's banned in other sports.
Well, he's not banned, is it? Well, all the ARU, it'd be very unlikely he'll ever play that competition.
And the ARL said we don't want you, and the NRL, who had an accord amongst their clubs, were able to say you wouldn't be welcome if you came here. So the ground is prepared for not allowing him to play rather than merely accepting his registration. And I think Robert Elston has rung up Keegan Hurst and said, and taken soundings from potential sponsors and young people.
Because he said he'd rang the stakeholders and various other people. it's clear he hasn't spoken to all the clubs.
No.
Which I would have thought, as his paymaster, they would have said, we all need to know about this. So how did he choose which clubs to speak to?
Well, I don't know if he spoke to clubs, but I think he spoke to young people in the Super League office. I think he spoke to sponsors of the competition. I think he spoke to Keegan Hurst because he knew that there was a potential impact wider than Israel Folau being a decent rugby player or not. So I think one's gone down that road. The other one has purely gone down the legal road and said, is there a likelihood, bearing in mind we have no money, and never really have had, which is why the Rugby Union World Cup is called such, and we didn't keep the name, that we could get sued. And the legal eagles at the RFL will have taken advice, and they'll have come back and said, on the basis of the findings of the ARU being taken to court, you could be sued for restraint of trade. Now, whether the amount is worth standing up for your principles for, I think that's another moral matter that we should have all have discussed in great detail, but we didn't. So I think the RFL have come back and said, we're going to have to register him because we might get sued, and Super League have gone, if you're going to have to register him, there ain't a lot we can do about it. So it's been really badly handled, because I would say it's the least worst option. And where have we heard that before?
I'm trying to think how to word this. It's interesting how Izzy Folau was allowed to go on Sky, principal broadcast partner of the Super League Europe, whatever they're called, and say nothing. It was, it's a waste of time.
Well, he didn't go on Sky. They took the club's media out. Obviously, the club isn't going to say, so Israel, tell us about all your controversial past.
He is. I'm trying to word this in a way that wouldn't get me in trouble. He's allowed to go on TV and say whatever he wants to say. He says nothing. It doesn't matter. As far as we're aware, because it's obvious, because no one else in rugby league has said anything publicly, bar a couple of players, about Israel Folau, that would suggest something to you, wouldn't it? If no one is speaking, bar a couple of people, and Keegan Hurst, who's not in Super League, and the player involved is, but no one else, and you must think...
Oh, I do hope Halifax draw Cattle.
You must think there'd be people involved in rugby league who don't agree with the signing, for whatever reason. And they've not said anything. But he's allowed to come out and have his say.
I get why he's news. But again, it goes back to the idea of, is there such a thing as bad publicity?
And I know people are bored of us. I know people are bored of us talking about this, but I go to the Wakefield Press every week last season, pretty much. There's me, there's Rhubarb Radio, there's Radio Leeds, and there's the Yorkshire Post, and Ridings FM occasionally. So that's 5 people. Last week, the Daily Mail were there, and Calendar. And I saw a tweet from someone saying, "Oh, we can't afford to miss out on this publicity. The Daily Mail are there. The Daily Mail aren't sending anyone to Bellevue, Mobile Rock on a weekly basis to cover the games, are they?
No.
And that's the difference.
You're not going to get any rugby on the back of it.
I just think
it's not about rugby league. It's not about the games. It's not about the players.
There is a huge difference here, I think, between the impact Sonny Bill Williams has made to a wider sporting audience and the reason why people want the Israel Folau story. Now, in terms of their intrinsic religious beliefs, they may well not be a million miles away from each other. But Sonny Bill Williams is being advised by people that are very, very clever about protecting his image.
His brand.
But also, he talks brilliantly. I think the interviews he's done, the media friendliness he has had, the ability to engage with fans of all clubs that he's so far played at, the amount of autographs he signs and selfies that he has come over as somebody who is an absolute asset to our sport. The whole way the Israel Folau Farrago has been handled is, I know a hell of a lot of people that now won't support the Catalans, that want him to fail, that are looking on it as a real negative for the sport. There is such a thing as bad publicity.
With a different hat on from the media perspective, and we are part of it, we have a responsibility. We've seen in this country in the last few years about how the media doesn't hold people to account, and look what happens, look where we end up, and look where we're going to end up. And look at this story, and you see constantly on social media. Social media is lawless, that's fine. People going on there, well, Sonny Bill Williams doesn't want Betfred on his shirt. That's the same as Izzy Folau posting on social media about homosexuals and atheists and everyone else is going to hell. It's not the same thing. We, as publishers on this programme, are able to point out the difference between the two because it's the responsible thing to do. Both rugby league newspapers, the publishers of them, the editors, whatever, have a column in that, and they choose not to point these things out. And they print letters saying, comparing the two, and not... They put editors' notes in there when they want to. And they don't on this issue because they are completely different. Because one man doesn't want Betfred on his shirt is not the same as wanting people to go to hell. And the fact that they allow those comparisons is ridiculous and irresponsible and reckless.
Oh, well.
So there'll be a cup draw as well about that.
Yeah,
I'm
trying to. Yeah, I mean, I can't get the women's draw because I can't log on to our league. But
that's later this evening.
Yeah, I don't know why that's not on straight after on the BBC either. But
why are they not done together?
I don't know.
There's an hour's difference.
So, yeah. Right.
I've got to find the right balls.
Let's talk about what happened on the field then.
Yes.
We will start off on Thursday. Whoa, I don't think many of us saw this coming. Not the Warrington victory, but the manner of the Warrington victory. I saw Jack Wellsby at fullback last year when they went to London, St Helens. And I said it last year, he's not a fullback. I'm not having he's a fullback.
I think you said that last week.
He's a very good ball handler. He's going to be a good halfback, whatever. He's a good rugby league player. He ain't a fullback. And as soon he dropped that kick that you would have been disappointed in the under-16s if your fullback had dropped that. It wasn't a hard one. He dropped it. His technique was all wrong, and thereafter never got near another ball. I think Saints have got a problem. They cannot play him at fullback. They cannot. You tell me, Mark Sneed. Mark Sneed's biggest worry about playing on Sundays. He'll have friction burns on his hands because he'll be rubbing it together that hard, thinking I'm going to absolutely hammer this.
What do you think Luke Keary's going to do?
Well, it sounds horrible. He's a young kid, he's making his way. He just doesn't look to me like he wants to be in that position.
I think the first thing that I thought was significant was Warrington have changed the way they're going to play this year. I think even they've realised that to win something on a consistent basis, I know they've been to finals, you have to have more variety in your attack. They look like they're going to play this year. They're moving the ball more. They're moving it in areas of the field where, particularly over the last couple of years, they haven't. They're taking risks. I think they genuinely believe that their defence can cover up any errors that they might. What I thought won the game was the short dropout. Just at the start of the second half. It's only 13-0. The game's still in the balance. They try a short dropout, which was something that they've done quite a lot of. It didn't quite work, so they're defending within 10 metres of their own line, and they pull off a wonderful try-saving tackle in the corner. That is a sign of a team that is prepared to chance that. We've seen other Tony Smith coach like that in his early days, certainly at Leeds. You know, you've got licence to do whatever you want, but what you are going to have to be is doubly good in defence. I think he's also starting to do that with Hull KR, which we'll come on to But I just thought. Yes, I can think of some reasons why St Helens might have been off their game, which could have been something to do with.
Well, they have some players, they have some players, but Wolf made no bones about it. No. We come here, we've been bashed up. He was really open about that.
I think that when you do play in the World Club Challenge, it's difficult. We saw that with Wigan last year as well, that you're almost caught between two stools. You're trying to peak very early in the season, but you're playing games that you perhaps need to peak at when you're playing a team as good as Warrington, but you need to keep something back for two. So it's difficult being in a World Club Challenge. I get that. It's why teams, when they've played in it, probably will lose a couple of games after. But I don't really want to focus on Saints. I think they can recover from that. That isn't damaging to them when you look at the players that they've got to come back. What that said, week one said, Hull can keep doing what they've done in week one, they'll be a force. Week two said, if Warrington keep doing what Warrington did in week two, they could be a force. That was really exciting.
They were good. You know what I thought, and I tweeted this the other day, it was exactly what we wanted Super League to look like. Thursday and Friday night.
Full stage.
Big games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't often get to watch the games on the telly. But I watched the Friday one, and when Sterling was walking around before the game, was like, wow, this is great. And I thought Thursday was like that. I thought it was a great atmosphere. The Saints fans went in great numbers. It was nearly enough for full house, not quite, but near enough. Great atmosphere, great game, high intensity game.
Bradford Underbank.
Wow.
Presumably Bradford will ask for that to be reversed and played on the bank because it's about.
Move on. Yeah, so that's interesting.
The newest club against the oldest.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, no, Toronto are in, aren't they? Oh no, only Bradford came after Toronto, didn't they? Warrington. We thought they were good in week 1.
Yes.
The fact that they weren't blown away with 12 men, weren't they? And they didn't miss Chris Hill.
No, they
You
didn't.
can
Their
talk
forwards were
The
outstanding.
question is, here's a question for you then. Warrington, by virtue of the fact that Gareth Woodrup has been injured, have probably changed the selection that they were originally
they-
What do they do
They,
now?
they cannot drop Matty Ashton at the moment.
Well, I asked Steve Price, I said, do you know what your team's going to be? Yeah, I know what it's going to be. I don't think he does.
Stefan
Rashford's
Ratchford
playing
looks so
outstanding.
at home playing in the halves.
Yeah.
And he's taking the pressure off Blake Austin.
Yeah,
Where does Gareth Woodrup play when he's fit?
you know what? Dare I say, they don't need him at the minute.
I
That's
mean,
how look
they
at it.
will need him over a long season, and there'll
Oh,
be injuries. But and Ashton,
It's an expensive luxury. Isn't it?
no, Ashton may not be able to keep that going over a whole season because he's never played in that.
Well, he
rarefied-
may choose to rest his wingers on occasion and stick him on the wing
Yeah.
for a few weeks.
But what a great, almost perhaps by default, they've come up with a really exciting combination of backs.
Siddle have got a home tie against a professional club, and that professional club will be drum roll, Keighley or Newcastle.
Mm.
They're going to put Bradford on the bank on the tally, aren't they? Because that's what they'll do.
Yeah.
Get them all with it.
Well,
But Warrington, it might be their year now because we're going early, aren't we, on these things? Hull are going to win Super League, and Warrington they're going to share the trophy. It's going to be a draw
yeah.
at the end of the grand final. They're going to share the trophy.
Is it worth talking about Underbank because you just mentioned it?
We can do.
Well, may as well go on
We
then.
just bounce
How
on.
bad?
We'll upset the
a,
Warrington
how
fans.
bad a result is that for
West
West
Wales.
Wales and
Lost 30
Welsh
points
Rugby
away.
League? Because we're
Well, they played a lot of youngsters apparently. Said their Twitter feed that.
But what
always
does
asks
that
us to
say
change
about
things.
where we are with rugby league in Wales in a semi-professional capacity? Now they've brought in Australian coaches, they've brought in some players from Australia. They've just lost to a community club side who have a
They'll be
fabulous,
battered by a community side. Let's be right.
lost heavily.
Kim Williams must have done a good job there last year in terms of they won a game and Huddersfield picked him up to do something on their backroom staff. But unfortunately, they are a team who.
But they've not been beaten by,
No,
with the
they've
great
been
respect
beaten
to
by
Huddersfield
Huddersfield.
Underbank Rangers. They haven't been beaten by Siddle, who for years have been, the last 3 or 4 years have been the best, or one of the best community-based teams and took Toronto all the way in the Challenge Cup, blah, blah, blah. They've lost to a team who, if it was a community Welsh club, you'd go, oh, that's interesting. But this is a semi-professional team, they're playing in League One. Where is rugby league in Wales? I know there's a lot of kids coming through at community level, under 16s, under that, but we've had this debate before that if you don't have something at the pinnacle for kids to aspire to, where are we going? Celtic Crusaders until their demise, which one day we may hear the real story about why that happened, and I don't know what the real story is, but it still seems very odd. Made the playoffs in Super League. They were signing people like Gareth Thomas. There were 10,000 at Wrexham when they played the first game in Super League.
They had a TV deal when they were in the lower leagues as well.
Yeah, but ultimately they didn't pay the bills.
We've
seen this before.
But as a sport, where are we with rugby
I
league
agree,
in
I
Wales?
agree, but where are you with rugby league internationally in Wales? The RFL don't want to know, do they?
It just seems terrible to me that we've gone so far backwards. That results in absolutely awful for West Wales. So whilst we should laud Underbank, who went the night before and prepared brilliantly and have now got a really lucrative game against Bradford, fantastic there. If it can be proven, the oldest community club. Brilliant in the 125th birthday of the sport that a team that's been there for so long with such a great tradition is making history. They've never been in this round of the cup before. But I just think it's a disaster for West Wales.
Were the Crusaders a blip? Because every other Welsh club, going back to, further back than Cardiff in the 80s and Bridgend and the South Wales team, which was started at the start of Super League and didn't last a year, were the Crusaders just a blip because they were a money man who
didn't have any money.
Got binned off from Rugby Union.
It was a short term. It was a short term hit, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's everything we've discussed about Toronto as well. It's what does the sport want from expansion? In 1907-8, there were 5 Welsh teams playing. There was enough for a division. The county championship used to have Monmouth in it because there were enough Welsh clubs that were making a contribution. That every team, Wigan, St Helens particularly, got a real history of signing Welsh players. And but what's our policy on it?
And that Welsh team of Rugby Union talent is drying up because they can get paid now legally as well, which we've mentioned before.
But the Cardiff team that you mentioned, Steve Fenwick signed for that. Yeah, at the time he was the best centre in Welsh rugby.
But do we need to do what they're doing in the NRL, and that is putting the likes of a Fijian team in the feeder league? Do we need to do that and say, right, you're playing as Wales, and you will be subsidised by whatever, and you're in? And same with Scotland and Ireland. Maybe we need to do that.
Maybe we need to have a policy on expansion.
Yeah, maybe.
So that if you've got Toronto, they have the same exemption on relegation that the Catalan Dragons had, because it's an expansion. So you are deemed to be an expansion development club. Yeah. You have some. You don't. I get all the argument about do they deserve a bigger salary cap and should they have spent money. But what you need is some things that you write into the sport that will help development clubs survive.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubting. Toronto is very much a one-off in the fact that they have had a guy who's bankrolled that. However that's paid, however he's invested in that. It's a tremendous financial investment. And I can't help but feel 3 years of it's just been a waste of money. Because we should have, if he says, here's me 10 million, I'll leave it in the bank, there it is, that's my money for the next 4 years, get me in. And I can't help but wonder if other rich people, if you said, it's, defensive rugby, how does it work? Or you start off in the bottom. No, I'm not bothered, mate. I'm not bothered. There will be people that would invest.
Well, I think there
in the top if they could get a team in the top flight.
And I think Wales is the primary ground for that, because ever since we broke away from rugby union, the people who have had the most in common with the north of England, its industries, its love of the oval ball, have been the Welsh. And we've courted them, and they've come to us, and we've gone to them, and yet where we are now, 125 years on, is we now have a team that is in the semi-professional ranks that is absolutely abject.
Yeah, exactly.
So what have we done?
My opinion also with that is, and this is where the election underband comes to the part side, blah blah blah. Should be a pyramid, and therefore they would just be out. Get them out. If they're not good and there's no investment. If they've got a major investor and you've got a plan and a policy for expansion, they would survive of their own free will. They'd be higher up the pyramid, they'd survive because they'd have a backer. I think the other thing is if we had any conscious knowledge of what's happening in rugby union in Scotland, Ireland and Wales, in terms of the fact that they are really struggling for finance, that they can keep 2 or 3 teams going and they can keep some of their top players, although the best ones inevitably are going to France at the moment. There is a whole reservoir of talent in all of those 3 nations that if we had a plan and a policy, an investor would tap into that. Yeah. Because very quickly they could get relatively high up that chain and be sustainable. Yeah, I agree.
As Jason points out, unlucky Thornhill nearly beating Doncaster as well. So and there's another. They're in the Heartlands, Doncaster.
Yeah.
Kick them out. No,
but they're not. They're a development club. South Yorkshire's development area. We've never done it properly.
Born in the 1950s. Newcomers. Don't like South Yorkshire, do we? Don't invite them to the Yorkshire Cup. What happened to the Yorkshire Cup?
Been abandoned.
All those people who said it was great, we knew what it was. Where's he gone?
So back to the.
Sorry, I just thought, as you mentioned, Underbank.
So Warrington at Wakefield this week.
Weather permitting.
St Helens go to Hull. Not the game they would have wanted going to Hull the week before.
They would have wanted it from a playing point of view. If you talk to their coach, the level of intensity he needs to have his team at, that's ideal. What they don't want is to get belted.
They could go there and get bashed up.
And he really needs
Hull
to
without
play.
Sarte this week, so they're missing a few already.
And Manu Mao. I think the thing about Hull is they built themselves around this great forward pack.
Yeah.
They've lost 2 of the people that they brought in. Let's see how they cope.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Should be a cracker. Elsewhere, we'll talk about Hull derby. Hull 25, Rovers 16. Rovers brave, really had a crack. I always felt watching it at home that Hull just hadn't. They broke them a couple of times, didn't score. I think if they take the chances and score another 2 or 3 tries, I wouldn't have had any complaints with that. Rovers did what Tony Smith said they would do and try and play rugby. You know, throw it around. I mean, the try they scored was unbelievable. Great try, but it still wasn't really quite enough, was it?
I think the interesting thing from a Hull point of view was in this week, the result was more important than performance. That the performance the week before had been so good and the turnaround was relatively quick, that this was a potential banana skin for the Hull that we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years that haven't been consistent.
Yeah.
So I think the most gratifying thing for Lee Radford would have been that his team found a way to win.
Yeah.
Didn't need to be pretty this week. It needed to be effective, and I thought Liggy Sow was probably the player of the week. I know Josh Griffin got a lot of the plaudits, but I just thought every time it looked like Hull might have been put under pressure, Sow made big meters, a huge contribution. But I love the way Hull are playing at the moment. They are not going to die wondering, to coin a phrase. And Tony Smith has decided that he wants his team to entertain. He might not have the biggest, he might not have the most skillful, he might not have at the moment the most gelled team in Super League, but what he's always going to encourage his guys to do is play what they see, to coin a 161st best man ever to play the game phrase.
Exactly. So Hull...
And they did, and I thought Hull were great. And yes, you know, what would have happened if Hull had kicked their penalty, it hadn't come off the post and Hull had gone down the other end? You don't know. I think Hull would have probably won it anyway. But I just thought the way Hull approached that, if they can keep that going, if they can buy themselves enough time with sufficient wins against teams that will be around them more.
Well, what we do know, they've got a lot of spirit, haven't they? They've got a lot of spirit, and you look at, you know, their forward pack, it's not anywhere near the size of some of those, but they played, they were there, they go, another day they may have won, but...
I just like their approach.
Yeah.
I really do.
No, I think that's fair.
I think if you're a Hull fan and you can watch that most weeks, you turn up and support your team.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
Is it that time already?
Here's Brian McDermott, he's come for the post-match presser.
Some bits and pieces on social media while we've got this breaking proceedings. A man who knows plenty about golden biscuits.
Okay,
There's only 3 of them, don't there?
Get these. Quality.
So you make a complaint, look what happens.
Well, I can't believe it's an observation. It was an observation.
Before I get to that, Sandy has been on. She was watching the whole derby as a neutral. You've actually brought sport Hull in black and white like Toronto. I was impressed by the atmosphere. It's a shame we don't see this more often. Come to Castwick in a couple of weeks, Sandy. Oh yes. The We Hate Leeds derby. That's what it is. Who hates Leeds the most? Cass or Wakefield? Come in. All this bragging rights nonsense the marketing week. No, we like each other really. It's Leeds. Alan Robinson. He knows about things.
He is a good man.
He says a policy on expansion would be great. The issue is the business side at the moment dictates the club and the governing body. I'd be happy to talk about coming from Ireland and also running the Coventry Bears. There is a huge amount of talent in the Midlands, but the Midlands Academy also failed due to finance and geography.
So again,
I would
had
say
that money that Toronto was earmarked for that they didn't get, could that have...
The point is exactly that. It's not that we haven't got the finance, it might be what we choose to spend that finance on.
Well,
and it's not an issue now, because we know that there is uncertainty over the next television deal, that the RFL needs to have an Ashes series and a World Cup to recoup some money. Get all of that. What I'm saying is 125 years we haven't allocated our money properly. And I was reading something the other day about, I can't remember which club it was, signed a player from Northampton Rugby Union in 1904. This isn't new.
Did he count on the salary cap?
they deleted him from the paintings in the clubhouse at where
But,
they play.
you know, we've always looked to expand in inverted commas, but never had a policy of how we were going to sustainably do that. You know, what's happened to the money that was allocated to Oxford and that was allocated to Gloucestershire Allville?
That's still going, I'm sure they are, because I see it on Facebook all the time.
But there's £150,000 there amongst those two clubs that could have kept the Midlands Academy going if that's what we'd have wanted to spend the money on.
Did Hamilton get the money? Even though anyway, no, anyway.
But
It's like word association.
It's back to Malik's
Because then you go, yeah, what did happen to that money? Who did settle that court case?
Before
How much did that cost?
Can I just say
There's
that?
so many.
Because you've reminded me.
Alan is a classic example, as is Ronan Michael, who is currently playing for the Canberra under-20s, but is attached to Huddersfield, of the talent that is out there if we had a plan how to get it.
Alan sent more. I want to come to his point in a moment, because you made a point that's reminding me of something. Because you talk about funding and you talk about this and that and this and that that's happening in Rugby League. And well done. They've woken up after the election. They've all got their snouts in the trough now, the all parliamentary Rugby League group. I'm coming for you again, politicians, because if there's anything we don't trust in this country, it's you.
I got an email about this.
I've not got an email because I don't get email.
No,
I saw the tweet this
morning.
morning.
Someone messaged me and about this.
I saw the tweet this morning. You're all right talking about Izzy Fellow, aren't you? But where are you when all these other things go on with the governance of the sport, like Bradford, and where this money goes and where that goes? Where are you when you're talking about them and not grabbing headlines like you're doing on this?
Yeah, well, I'll read you out the email.
I don't think
I'll read you out the email that I received.
I don't think
it's about Fallout. Dear Ralph Rimmer, obviously CEO RFL.
Who?
I trust this letter finds you well and a belated Happy New Year. Wanted to update you, blah, 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 blah. The inaugural meeting coincided with the announcement earlier in the day by Catalan Dragons that they have signed Israel Folau. Subsequently, I have had the opportunity to read the joint RFL and Super League statement. The signing of Folau contradicts everything Rugby League stands for and prides itself on. Given the considerable progress and lead that the RFL has provided in ensuring our great game is in the vanguard of inclusivity and diversity, members of the APPG, which is the all-party parliamentary rugby group, are disappointed. Wish to register their disappointment. The group would welcome the opportunity to meet you and discuss our concerns at a future meeting.
I remember when
it's a statement, right? It's just rubbish.
Yeah,
I mentioned this a while ago. And then someone else said, "Why don't you come to a meeting?" I haven't really got any interest in going to a meeting, right? They don't do it. You're right. It's bandwagon jumping. What do they do?
Right, last year they had the BBC.
They represent the sport.
But where? Not when it matters.
Workington Man.
Didn't they have the deputy head of sport at the BBC there last year?
No.
And they could have asked 1,000,001 questions, but no. Waste of time.
Like you said, anything to do with politicians. No one trusts it.
Where are you when we're looking at issues that actually matter? And yes, this issue does matter. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, we've talked about it extensively on this show for years now. But in the grand scheme of things, that's just grandstanding and standing on
Isn't it more holding to account? Shouldn't bodies like the APP?
We wish to express our disappointment. Well, we did that last week.
And I know he was at the 4020 birthday party last year, so I'm not saying this as someone who's a friend of the magazine or whatever. But we haven't had anyone, an MP, who I don't want to say, who genuinely loves our sport as much as David Hinchliffe does, and did more for the sport than probably any MP has done.
And I have to say, David's not too well at the moment, so good wishes to him.
Yes.
Yeah. I saw that Cooper was trending the other day. I thought, finally, Wakey's getting a new stadium. Oh, no.
No, Cass. He's Cass. He's not us. Well, the Tories going to build us a new stadium, it's all right. Because
is this about 350 million quid?
They won't have their Brexit.
Sid, he's all there. He's all there every day. Tory Wakefield he is now. I'm in Morley. We've got the bloody idiot woman. Can I call her? Yeah, I can.
The words of Richard Shaw right there, not the opinions of 4020.
No, I think they are.
Yeah.
Before I get into
no
more
dissenting voices from this side.
No.
Anyway, before I get into more trouble, here's Alan back on the growth thing. It's interesting because talking about funding, and he says here, growth is centred on the heartlands of the game. There doesn't seem to be the financial support or willingness to develop players or clubs in geographical areas. We are on our own fending for ourselves. Unfortunately, it's very tough competing with clubs. And we just had the news in the last week that Greater Manchester has a new development office, and they're setting up a new regional league, which is great for Greater Manchester, which has got plenty of professional clubs, of course, who can't manage themselves.
Matt Davis, talking of Warrington, Played his 100th game on Thursday.
Yeah.
Matt Davis is a product of Leicester Phoenix, who don't exist anymore.
Ironically with the name.
Who went to London Broncos.
Who do exist.
But are not at the top flight. So again, why did he have to move? Because he needed to play at the highest possible level he could. He's playing for Warrington. Great, he's playing for Warrington. Brilliant that he's getting an opportunity. Top player. But if we're serious about finding more Matt Davis, they're clearly there. What are we doing about it?
You got
what are we doing
Broncos
about it?
youth team. There's loads of players there. It's an argument we've had, and we'll be having in 10 years.
I'm going to mention the Rugby League Conference, which is something that was dear to my heart and was for all the time that it ran. That's started in 1998. There was a pilot
You
season.
need a drink of tea, alright?
No, it's just one of the biscuits.
Which one of the biscuits did you have?
The one with the
Hobnob.
yeah.
We've got
Nice.
a market this week.
Nice.
We have broken the cap this week.
We've got 4 lots. 97 was the pilot season. 98 it started. It lasted probably 15 years, and it built up to over 200 community clubs throughout England, Wales, Scotland, and it cost the game minimal. What the RFL paid for were match officials and a bit of administration. But the clubs were self-determining. The leagues were run by an arm's length organisation where, again, with the greatest respect to the way Super League's being run at the moment, they could have learnt something. The clubs had no say at all, but they invested solely in the management committee because they realised they had no vested interest, and all they wanted to do was promote the sport and give them the opportunity to play and worry only about playing and building their clubs rather than what shape the fixtures were going to take or whatever. And somebody made a decision, a financial decision, that we didn't want to pursue that anymore. Now that's the competition that Alan got involved in, that Matt Davis came through, that Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook first played in, that Tony Clubb first played in. Cost the sport virtually nothing. The rewards were huge in terms of, remember CFAX? There's a man here who was. In the early days of the Rugby League Conference, the results were on CFAX. So people who didn't really even follow Rugby League had 4 or 5 pages of Coventry were playing Birmingham and South London were playing Ipswich, and it looked and felt.
Yeah.
It was
a proper competition.
But it was style over substance, and then there became a little bit of substance. And you remember the Championship Grand Final days had 3 tiers. The first one was Championship, and it was League One, but the first game was the conference, and in one year Sheffield Eagles picked up 2 players from that conference final who they never have come across otherwise.
Yeah.
And the guys maybe only played for a year or 2 at Sheffield, but they were great. We always have a choice, and we over 125 years have made the wrong choices.
Yeah.
We're doing the same with Alan's Coventry.
Let's be fair. If it weren't for Alan, there probably wouldn't be a Coventry.
People like Ron Banks, who's the president there, who was involved in those conference days. It's a club that has come out of the conference and survived, but it's tough. But what do we, there is a case for saying that if there's a big investor, maybe let's say Wasps, in that region that supports rugby, that could have a rugby league arm in the summer that was Coventry Bears, that we should do some things to help them and their investors do that.
I know we don't like licensing, and I know we were talking about building a pyramid earlier, but Alan makes this point, and he knows the finances of his club more than we do, and we obviously haven't seen them, so we're taking Alan's word on face value, which is
they're self-sustaining.
Exactly. They are the only club in the Championship and League One washing our face. They're not losing money.
They don't spend what they haven't got.
Yeah. Isn't that's an admirable thing compared to clubs higher up than them in the same division who have gone bust in the last 12 months or whatever?
But with the greatest respect to the fantastic job that Alan and the people there are doing, they're treading water because the system they're part of is not enabling them to accelerate potential development. And if Alan's saying we need a Midlands academy and it's not there was a Midlands academy that should have been attached to Coventry Bears.
Yeah,
they're the only semi-professional club playing in the Midlands. They should have that underpinning them. And if that needs paying for centrally, so be it.
Yeah, but that's the point. That never happened, did it? And like you've made a great point. What happened to all this money that they've cut back on? And it never gets mentioned
No.
again.
Because the all parliamentary party rugby league group are too busy putting out statements about pointlessness.
Yeah, correct. Right, back to the action on the field then. Hull beat Hull KR, we know that. Saturday saw Salford win their first game of the season, 24-16. Crowd of 4,593. I was quite impressed with that.
No, it's good. I mean, it's Saturday at 2 o'clock. It's
not ideal.
No, I mean, you know, we have to be honest and say this is an area where the northwest of England where football is king.
Yeah.
A lot of football kicks off around about that time. I know, you know, the two Manchester clubs weren't playing at that time, but you're asking people to break a habit, and 4,500 is above the average that they were getting for most of the season before last. Certainly, I know it went up a bit last season because of their fantastic run to the grand final. I think that's a great crowd. First home game of the season, coming off a big loss. I don't think it should be ever about away support, but clearly the team that you're going to be playing that isn't bringing anything other than a box of Timbits, which is nothing wrong with that at all. So I think 4,500 is a really good crowd.
Sandy had a pie as well, so that was the other breaking news.
They're
getting closer. Well, they were closer than they were last. Obviously, we haven't seen. I mean, people, our foreign listeners may have watched this game.
Yes.
Through somehow.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get those VPN things the kids know about set up so I can watch all these games illegally.
Yeah.
So they may have they've seen more.
We don't
have
put
this
down
game.
that.
No.
Again, those are the thoughts of Richard Shaw, right?
I don't know what a VPN is.
Career criminal.
I think it's still with pants.
But VPL, I think.
We haven't seen this game, but he doesn't like
24-16.
running them close.
Well, it was 16-all, wasn't it? With 7 minutes left.
I think again, if you were Brian McDermott and you had perhaps done a press conference, you would have said
you got lost.
There's improvement there, and what you want on a week-to-week basis is to see that. And I thought Sonny Bill did a really good interview, which I think was on the Wolfpack feed, about how he personally went from being a rugby union player who was playing league in the first game to a rugby league player who's still got some mistakes in his game that he needs to get rid of, but it's starting to feel a bit more like. And I think the team epitomised that. That, you know, they looked a bit like a championship team, a very good championship team against Castleford. They've competed in Super League against the team that got to the grand final last year. That to me is improvement.
Case Stanley back this week, Sonny Bill out this week, so they win one,
tough
they lose
again
one.
because it's a very short turnaround.
Wigan, on Thursday.
And again, Wigan coming off a really poor result on Friday night, so I think there'll be some backlash there.
Well, you would think so, but
I think Brian McDermott will be highly satisfied with the fact that he got a tune out of his team from the week before.
It will take time. It will. I know. Talking to Paul Cook, he said it'll take them about 6 weeks to get fully up to.
And it will take Salford time because some of their combinations are new this year.
Yeah, that was a big win for them. It's one of them. If they lose, I think. Ooh,
well, Ian Watson said, you know, he wasn't going to say it beforehand, but afterwards he acknowledged that was a must-win because if you start then looking at your fixtures coming up and going, we're under pressure to get a win to kickstart the season. The longer you go without that win, the tougher it becomes.
Exactly right. So big win.
We need to praise Castmore because the Cast fans are moaning. But
no,
first,
we're coming to that game now.
Here's the draw for the Challenge Cup in full. Men's Challenge Cup 4th round. Rochdale Hornets or Toronto Wolfpack B or York Acorn versus the Army, who did they beat?
They beat Ince Rosebridge.
That's it. And everyone went excited about that. Whitehaven versus Dewsbury. North Wales versus Hunslet. Sheffield versus Halifax. Sheffield need to bounce back. They had a shocker, didn't they?
That's a big game.
Workington or West Bowling versus Doncaster. Bradford versus Underbank. Fev versus Barrow or the London Scholars. London Broncos versus York City Knights. That'll be a tasty one. Swinton versus Lee Miners Rangers. Lee Centurions versus Batley Bulldogs. Siddle versus Keighley or Newcastle. And Widnes, who've had a great start to the season in the Championship, at home to Oldham. Ties played 22nd, 23rd.
London York's
probably is a standout game. Yeah, look forward to that one. Right, Castleford then. They beat Wigan. 2 wins in 2. It's ever since I said they're finishing the bottom 4.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you had me a race over 26 miles, for the first 100 yards, I'd be pretty good. Thereafter, I'll be pedalling backwards.
Need better drugs.
Need more drugs. 16.
Say no.
Yeah, I thought you said the drugs don't work.
Depends who you are.
16-12, Castleford won against Wigan in front of a crowd of nearly 9,000 on Friday night.
Crowds have been great, I think, at the start of the season.
Yes, they have been very good. And well played. Darrell Alfort's Blair with the 2 tries for Cass.
How good's Chase Blair been the first 2 games this season? Which, again, it takes a year sometimes for overseas players to feel comfortable in their environment. And it's been a different Chase Blair to the one we saw for most of last year in just 2 games.
Danny Richardson's goal kicking, the difference. So he's already paying dividends. He's on the TV programme this week.
Is he?
Yeah.
Very good.
So I'm picturing there. So
I think that's a big result for Cass.
Yeah.
And a great result. They had, was it 10 players out?
Yeah, fair play.
But Darryl Powell loves to be written off. And I think he's transferred that.
Are you on the payroll there?
Feeling to his players.
I think what I have underestimated, and this is a serious thing, because they didn't have it last year, because obviously lost Gale really late. They brought in rankinglastminute.com. They've had a full pre-season. All right, granted, Truman was a bit late, but I think what Darryl said is him and Richardson, when they've both been there, have trained every day.
Well, Truman came in early.
Well, yeah, but I think he did miss the first because he was away, obviously. But the point is that they've had a full pre-season together, all those, and that will, without backtracking, I think that will help them. The one worry I do have is if they do get injured. People say, well, I've got loads of injuries now. Yeah, it's early days. Let's see. I'm not getting carried away, but well played. 2 wins from 2 is brilliant. They got a Catalans. You know, if they go there and win, and all of a sudden, you know, I am starting to go, I've got this one wrong, but we'll see. It's a long old season, and as I said,
that is a big game for Catalans.
Yeah, a Wigan supporting friend of mine in the media said that's the worst Wigan performance he's seen for a decade.
I think Adrian Lamb backed that up.
Yeah, so
how disappointed he was, and again, Wigan the week before had been tough and resilient.
Well, we didn't know quite how to weigh up that performance against 12-man Warrington, did we? Because of the red card. It was a bit, well, did they just do enough to win, or were Warrington a bit unlucky? And I think now you go, well, maybe Warrington were a little bit unlucky, you know, so I don't know. But now
then Wigan were under scrutiny for the first half of last year and underperforming, and still were only 80 minutes away from the grand final. So
correct.
Panic is not yet set in.
It's very hard. There's no one has come out. Probably Cass have played all right first 2, Hull all right first 2. Everyone else has had a bit of a blip, haven't they? Or those that have played 2 games anyway. So we'll see.
I think we'll see that person we're not naming anymore because people are annoyed at his name. I think he'll play this week.
Yeah,
because there's less attention now.
Well, that's why I think it's a big week for Cass to be going to Perpignan, because I think issues other than how well they play will dominate. And how did you find that bit of biscuit that you liked?
No, that were in the other
one. How that pans out, you know, will be very interesting. Will it put additional pressure on the Dragons to perform and Cass will take advantage, or will there be a Perpignan backlash?
I mean, will he be like Sonny Bell, where he's a bit slow at first and hasn't played for a while? It's difficult to work out, isn't it?
I think that's why he's a risk. Well, you've only sat on him for a year, but he hasn't played rugby league for long enough to wonder, even if he's in good physical shape, what kind of an impact can he make?
From all reports on Sonny Bell, it sounds like he was playing more with the ball this week, wasn't it? So he's more.
There were glimpses, even at Leeds on week 1, where you just saying, he's a player. He's a player. He'll be right. You know, they just, like you said, Phil, they need a win. As soon as they get a win, people leave them alone a little bit, I think.
Yes.
But it's like, they have one and they might get some injuries. Well, they might not get any injuries, and they might just get better.
Some people will leave them alone, but there is a certain section of people who obviously wants to see them fail because they are foreign. And, you know, even though they're not foreign, they're all bloody British and a few Australians.
Well, they were anti-Scarborough, though, to be fair.
Bring back the Pirates. Bring back the
Pirates. Right, into the Championship then. This week, because we didn't have Leeds didn't lose this week, sadly. So we'll have to
that river next to Huddersfield
lost Storm Cairo.
Maybe not. Lee, huge winners on Saturday, 58-10. I couldn't believe the result. I mean, I expect Lee to go very well, but Sheffield conceding 58 was a bit disappointing. I've got to be brutally honest. 3,000 there as well. Good effort from Lee. They'll be happy with that. Why did they play on Saturday? Do we know?
Man United women, I think, were supposed to play there yesterday. I don't know if they played or not. I'm guessing that was on the telly.
No,
so
it's fair enough. Yeah, well, it was a genuine why did they play Saturday?
Yeah, I think anyway.
London, who when I last looked were getting beat by White. I thought, hang on, this could be a bit of a disaster, but they fired in some tries and won. Albeit a few, 3 in the last 20 minutes, but they've won. And Danny Ward,
full of praise for Whitehaven.
Yeah, good effort from them.
Danny was.
He's a good guy, isn't he? He's a good guy.
How well Whitehaven had played.
But a little bit like Hull and maybe a little bit like Cass. And going, all right, we'll won 2. Let's see where this is going. It's a work in progress.
And
but
I
points
think, again,
on the ball.
if you've come off a really tough game the week before, that you're the team that everybody's going to be gunning for because you're the one that's dropped down from the division above, and people are saying, they'll be well equipped to handle this division. And the first week you've had a real tough game. The second game can sometimes undermine you. That you put so much into the first one to make that statement that you get caught the second one, and by half time they were. But that shows a lot of resilience again with an almost new team.
It does
to turn that round.
Yeah, well played.
What was the crowd at?
735.
Again, appalling conditions.
Yeah.
So well done. Anybody who went.
A big win for Toulouse. 58-6.
Everyone's new favourite French team. Then.
2 big wins with Joe Bretherton scoring one of
how good was that?
Best tries.
How good was that?
Drop forward, chip it over.
We'll get voting for him on the 125 years. That's the best try I've ever seen.
I don't know if he's on because there is an Our League try of the week. I don't know if he's on.
He's got to win that. He has to. He got a hat trick, didn't he? What a way to do it. But they're racking up the points. Oldham, you can't help but feel it's going to be a long year for them, and based on where they've come from and where they are. Heavy defeat, -82 already on the points difference.
I'm pretty
They've
sure
had a tough start in fairness. They lose to Widnes last week.
Yeah, that's a game that they wouldn't have expected to win.
No, but already it sounds bizarre. We're 1 week or 2 weeks, 1.5 weeks into the championship season, and barring 1 or 2 teams, they're all exactly where you would envisage they would finish. And that's we're 1.5 weeks in. They haven't even all played twice yet.
I think the way Toulouse have started the season, again, a bit like Hull KR's philosophy, they're going to play.
Yeah,
I think doesn't matter who the opposition are. They'll come unstuck. There'll be one game where the passes don't stick. There'll be a couple of games maybe where their forwards get dominated by a bigger pack, but they clearly are determined to entertain. They're in a new stadium, a bigger stadium, a rugby union stadium. They are one of the favourites to be promoted. So
Lee are the favourites, then Toulouse and London. But you look at the top 5, Phil. Lee, Toulouse, Widnes, London, Fev. I can't see anyone else getting in.
No. Well, maybe York if they can maintain the progress that they showed last year. But maybe. I think you're right.
I think they'll be a much more chased team this year. None of this. They're getting a bit like Bournemouth, when everyone says, "Oh, look at little Bournemouth, they're doing great."
You mean idiots because they don't realise they spent loads.
But
of
you
money
look at York, and York must have spent some money. I'm not saying they've gone out of their means.
Really well.
They've recruited well, and they will have had to spend money to get some of those. They've signed some good players, but with that comes expectation, and the targets are a bit different. It's no longer plucky York. It's York should be in the top 5. We'll see.
When they move into their new stadium, that's another pressure on them as well because it needs to. Well, I was
really looking forward to going yesterday, and all, but never mind.
They've
still got me 15
You'll be going
quid
to the new
anyway.
stadium now as well.
Yes,
when that's
probably so. So yes, and the other result yesterday was Widnes beating Batley. Widnes under Tim Sheen. I think we did mention him briefly last week. Making some good noises. Why the hell's Tim Sheen's gone there? Coach a part-time team, clearly loves the game, and maybe it's the perfect opening for him at this stage of his career where he's got a bunch of young guys that are going to look up to him. He's going to be able to improve. They've clearly got some talent there, and it's going to be interesting how they do with this.
You've hit the nail on the head there. That it's a perfect marriage in many respects. That he's got some guys who he can mould for the rest of their career, which for him at his age would be perhaps even a more satisfying challenge than dealing with experienced professionals. But they will turn up to training every Tuesday and Thursday in awe of him. And I think, if he can get the best out of some kids that massively respect, then it's a win-win, isn't it?
Everyone loves a cup draw that's got buys in it. and the women's first round Challenge Cup
Oh, yeah,
has
yeah.
buys. So there's a buy for all Kingston Rovers. They play no one in the first round.
I think they'll win that.
That's
Through to
exciting.
the next round. Well done.
Yeah, well done, all KR.
Can
Should
you
be
get-
all celebrating on the
Can
telly.
you get money on that?
Rochdale Hornets. They are at home. Probably not the Crown or the
Is
Ring.
it-
It's always buggered up.
Is this Toronto?
They've got a buy as well.
Hey.
Oh, Rochdale. Are they
So there'll be all these buys, and
Yeah.
are all the teams
Here's another
in?
buy. Here's another buy. Cut side. Hooray, you're through. Well done,
When do the
Cut side.
Super League girls come in?
I think it's in a couple of rounds.
Is it?
He
How
says.
many
Should know
buys
this.
are there?
Well, there's 3 so far.
Well, there's 12 teams in
East
the draw.
Leeds, they're out. They've got a buy. So that'd be it now, wouldn't it? 4 buys, and then you'd have the rest
Yeah.
would all play each other.
You would
So
think
well done
so.
to them. You all play no one.
Why do you need buys when there's 4 teams that have got them? Can they not play each other?
It must be teams
No,
coming
because
in
there'll be
later
so
or
many
something,
teams to go to the next round.
Yeah.
And some more
Durham,
teams come in.
they're at home. Durham. That's all they ever brought to cricket. They are playing, number 1, the Army. Well, the Army have got half their players play at Leeds and Wakefield these days, so I don't know if they've got any players left, the Army.
All the Leeds players are going to play in the
Nice.
women's
Wigan St
NRL,
Pat's, they're
aren't
at
they?
home.
Courtney Hill for
Yeah.
Sydney
Yeah.
Roots.
She's
Might
not
come
coming
back.
back then, or
With the
Well,
weather.
if she does really well, she might get offered a contract.
Wigan St Pat's are
it's
playing
only a
Whitley Bay
short-term
Barbarians.
season though, isn't it? They only play about 4 games.
But
don't they?
if you get into one of the fully professional
You play.
teams, you can make a career out of it.
The RAF. They
I mean, her
have.
partner plays cricket in England, doesn't she?
Yes, but I think she's a good enough cricketer that she could get a
play that.
contract in Australia.
RAF versus Keighley, who nearly not waited for that last year. On our great run to the semis, we nearly got to the final. Nearly. And Nottingham are at home to Halifax. There you go. We nearly won the Challenge Cup last year. We nearly got to the final.
Yeah.
But,
Train
but,
on that.
but unfortunately, they broke the rules and they didn't let us in.
Never
so,
mind.
buggers. But we'll
Never
get there this year because we're powered by Forty20 TV. So,
Yeah, proud sponsors.
yeah, front of the shirt and everything.
Yeah.
Front of the
Yeah,
shirt.
We've already paid
Yeah,
for the
it's-
side,
it's-
but we're on
it's
the
there.
front
It's
now.
there. They're going to send us a shirt, but they've
On the
got it
front.
made up. They haven't got it made up though yet. So
Fantastic.
we've been taken to task
Go on.
by who was it? John. John. He says, "Why does Cass not get much praise? Is the panel just wanting them down and out?" No, we like Cass.
John, no.
What have
We
we
don't-
just said?
we
Cass
don't like-
2 years ago to win the grand final. If only they had done.
What have we just said about Cass?
Yeah,
We can
they're
do
doing
it.
all right. They're doing all right. Yeah, look, they've taken a gamble, getting rid of Gale and bringing Richardson in. Seems to have settled in quite well. Don't know what else you want us to say. They've won 2 out of 2.
I think the fact that
Tough
they-
game this week. They win next week. There'll be plenty of
You
praise.
said they had all those players out injured as well. They did well.
Yeah, the fact that they've beaten a Wigan team who everybody thinks will be up in the top 3 with 10 players missing, even at this early stage in the season, says that something is right at Castleford.
Yeah, good to see Junior Moore's back as well. Big
And Ollie
Junior.
Holmes was back.
He was. He was.
People on YouTube behave.
Wow, what's happened?
No, they're just being nasty. So
Whoa, what's happened?
just if I see you being nasty, I'm going to time you out. And if you don't behave, I'm going to ban you.
Are they nasty to us or to each
No,
other?
just to each other and about being offensive.
Ah,
We don't
Pack
do
in,
This is
Jansen,
not what
pack
we're
in.
for.
We don't do offensive.
Nah.
We do opinionated, but not offensive.
Oh, no, that's what I was going to do. Check the TV figures, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, you were. Anything else you
Not
want
that-
to talk about, Phil, this week? Anything on your mind?
The only thing that I find odd
Right.
Oh yeah.
is that clearly we're not at Wakefield tonight because they couldn't rearrange the.
Why have
It's
they not
wet.
played
It's
tonight?
wet. It's wet.
No,
Look out the
I never
window.
asked Michael.
Look out the window.
Yeah, but I
It's
never
raining.
asked Michael. Is
I
that
was
is that
down- I
why?
was
Yeah,
down- I
no,
was down
the
at the
pitch
church
still
this
isn't
morning.
fit.
Okay,
Down
I
at the
didn't.
church,
It was a
it's not
genuine. I
nice.
didn't
But-
know why.
Which numpty, and I use that word
Oh,
advisedly,
don't be
There
upsetting
you go.
people again.
scheduled
Yeah.
on the same weekend that St Helens were going to be playing in the World Club Challenge, that would be their home fixture against Catalan Dragons. So the Dragons now have, theoretically,
Yeah.
depending on how the Challenge Cup rounds work out, to arrange 2 midweek fixtures.
Yeah. No,
Are
I
we-
agree
are
with
we- is
that.
not
The
again-
weather you can't
here's
help. No
our
one can
foot.
help the weather, but that other one is just farcical.
Well,
It
here's
is
our foot and a
farcical.
shotgun.
Yeah,
Take aim.
yeah. It's.
I mean, you run a risk when the season starts this early, and we've said it a million times, that you're going to get some disruption weather related.
yeah.
It's happened a lot. And I have to say the weather was so bad yesterday that the other thing I didn't fully understand is that when we get an amber weather warning and that the instructions from agencies that
know.
now accurately follow trends and whether saying stay inside.
Yeah.
Do we not cancel all our games?
Yeah.
And because it's not about whether the pitch is playable. It's not about whether your opposition can get there. It's also to do with the fact that you're asking people to come out when the government are telling you to stay in. So in some ways that's a bit irresponsible.
Yeah.
So once we got the amber warnings, just cancel the games. Don't wait until 11 o'clock and have pitch inspections. Just say we're not going to play.
Yeah, we're not doing it. Yeah.
That's going to happen at this time of year. If you look, as long as I can remember, the early part of February has always been worse for weather than sort of the early part of January.
Okay.
So who on earth scheduled Catalan Dragons to be playing St Helens on the 22nd of February when they already knew St Helens were in the World Club Challenge?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that when I heard that happened, Phil. It is mind-blowingly bad management, isn't it?
It just doesn't make any sense.
It's bad management. I'm surprised Catalan didn't kick off about that, to be fair.
I don't get it. And that's where, the rearrangement of Leeds and Huddersfield in midweek economically isn't going to harm Huddersfield. It's still a big game with the two teams living near enough of each other to get a bumper crowd, and the chances are that it might be on a night where not a lot of other sports happening. If it's slightly later in the year and midweek, nobody's going to lose out of that.
Yeah.
But how on earth can you expect Catalan to fly in midweek? And when are they going to fly in? Because they're going to have a game either on the Friday, Saturday, or Sunday in either away or at home. Presume you'll have to time it with another away fixture, maybe on a Sunday, so that they can come Wednesday and stay till Sunday. But why are we doing it?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's poor, isn't it? But it comes in. You can't control the weather. It is unfortunate, but you can control that other fixture, and that is farcical. Is the word I would use. Absolutely farcical.
Sky Sports Arena. If I was writing a press release for Super League this week, I'd be saying 9 of the top 15 programmes on Sky Sports Arena in the first week of Super League were rugby league programming. One of those includes Grand Final gold, so assuming someone left it on. So we'll watch Bradford lose to Leeds again on Grand Final gold.
They couldn't watch Wakey lose, could they?
Well, no, because they haven't got those videos from the 60s.
You're right.
We've been in as many Grand Finals as Bradford have these days.
Can't argue with that, my friend. Can't argue with that.
Count the Yorkshire Cup.
Although, what about the League One Grand Final? Weren't they in that?
No,
that farcical playoff.
Well, that wasn't even a proper Grand Final. Was it?
It was, wasn't it? It was some kind of Grand Final. I think it was. I think you'll find. So it could be still 1-0.
Nearly screwed up that chance of promotion as well. Was that another old Bradford?
I don't know. I lost count.
But anyway, outside of football, which is the almighty sport of Britain, and the Test match, the highest rated sport on Sky Sports main event was the Super League.
The first round game between Wigan and Warrington.
That's the one.
Was the highest viewing figures for 6 years.
186,000.
And it was a damn good watch.
And the ancillary programmes did what they did. I thought the second episode of Inside Super League was better than the first episode. Because Manny Anthony was a better guest than George Burgess. No offence, George, but we've got nothing interesting to say really. So they had a better guest. They had Robert Elson on saying all these things that he said, because he's allowed an opinion, but And it was just better. That programme will get better as
it
they
also
do
had
more
highlights
content.
as well of games, which again helps to structure the programme.
I like the way they do the highlights in a different style.
Yes,
and
they don't have commentary.
I know they've said, we've got rid of Rugby League, Super League full time, whatever it was called. Yeah, but of course they're going to. It's not going to do the same thing twice.
No, they've got all the. If you want to see the action, then watch Inside Rugby League.
Or stay up tonight
Inside
at 1 AM. I believe on BBC Three. Super League shows on, so it'll be good. Even before yesterday's results, says Terry, cannot understand most pundits going for Wigan as a top 3 team. I think they're going to win the league. What's going on there? French at fullback is a mistake. Their backs are ordinary and their pack one-dimensional and over-reliant on a Lachlan.
I think the French issue is interesting because I am convinced that Hardacre is wasted in the centre.
Totally agree.
And that
he's the best fullback in the competition, in my opinion. Playing at fullback,
given
stop
that
messing
role
about
on a weekly basis, where he can improve, get to know his teammates.
Yeah.
He I think is good enough to break back into the England team at the end of the year, but he's not going to do it as a centre, I don't think.
No.
Whereas I don't think Bevan French is a halfback, So do you end up playing him on the wing, and where have Wigan got most
Well,
of
I mean, in fairness to Wigan, they played the young kid, didn't they, Harry Smith at half-back. So in one way you've got to applaud him for that.
Yes.
You know, give the guy his head.
Yeah.
But I just look at. I'm with you. I think it's a mistake. It's a mistake because I think they're weakening their own team. And I know we said the week before, Bevan French played really well against him and he scored the try, didn't he? That ultimately led to him winning against Warrington. But I just help go steady. When you've got players missing, put round pegs in round holes, and Hardacre for me should have played at full back.
Yeah.
I don't, Marshall's a good back, Bevan French is a good back, Jackson Hastings is outstanding. So I think to say the backs are, and they're missing Gildart, and I think
that'll make a huge difference.
Yeah, I think to say that they're one, or whatever he said, rubbish or
the
whatever.
Forwards are one-dimensional. He said.
Yeah, but the forwards will go better with good service from halfback. Yeah, and so yeah. Tell you what, Mitch Clark can't get in the Wigan team, can he? At the minute, included in the squad again, didn't play this week. That's twice.
Interesting.
That'll be quite. He's gone with the youngster, Ethan Havard on the bench.
Havard is a real prospect. We saw him for England schoolboys.
Yeah.
He looks like he could play regularly at first team level.
Yeah.
I just wonder if, we know how good Smithies, Partington, Byrne were last year. There is a danger of not second season syndrome, because I'm not sure that exists, but other clubs working out how they're going to work over those kids.
Target him, yeah, agreed.
And it's tougher second year.
Should shout out for Sam Hall as well, who made his Super League debut for Castleford, another youngster. Interesting, yeah. The four kids that didn't play would have also made the debuts, wouldn't they? So it'd have been, they are down to the bones at the minute, Cass. I think that's highlighted in their 21-man squad. They'll be hoping to get some back this week.
Well, it's exciting about the 21-man squads. It's all exciting.
It is.
I don't know if any of our viewers are as sad as I am watched all of the XFL this weekend.
No, I didn't.
No, you know.
Well, interesting. The NFL have put it all over their website.
Which is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know Vince McMahon, who owns it. He has earmarked £350 million over 3 years for this, to utterly either fail or take off.
Yeah.
Can he buy a franchise? Can we get him in the Super League? Or Vince?
You're more like to bankroll Pyongyang, isn't it?
Yeah, well, possibly. Get Vince in.
But is his intention to supplant the NFL or underpin the NFL?
Well, he's a mad billionaire, and we used to work for a millionaire with a similar ego.
Yeah, but I think the fact that the NFL season is so short, there is an opening for something similar, albeit a lesser,
different roles, interviewing coaches during the game. Had the coaches mic'd up, you could hear what plays they were going to play next.
All right, okay.
Interviewing players as soon as they came off, having made mistakes. One of the broadcasters on the team is a guy called Pat McAfee, who was kind of like Robbie Hunter Paul on the pitch when he shouldn't have been and doing stuff. And he was having to go at one of the players who were making a mistake, and then went and interviewed him afterwards. It was brilliant. So if Robbie Hunter Paul did that on the BBC, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting. I'm sure some of our North American listeners will have watched it.
Yeah, it's worth having a look. We'll see how that goes. It'll be interesting. Like I said, it's an experiment, a very expensive one.
And is it something that coverage-wise you think will set a template for?
Well, he was on proper channels in America, Fox, ABC, ESPN, and.
Be interesting to see what reaction the NRL Nines get this weekend, because again,
we're all watching because there is British interest,
and they've come up with the idea that legendary ex-players can come back and play in this tournament. So people like Kurt Gidley are playing, and
Courtney Hill. Mentioned earlier, she's there. She looks better in red, white, and blue than blue and amber. But that tends to be just a thing in general.
You might have a poncho for red, white and blue, said he, wearing red, white and blue.
Yes, indeed. You look like a Wakefield veteran. Like
I was thinking this might be the New England kit. New coach, new kit.
We're going to have a new kit because they must be selling the old one off at the minute.
How are the ticket sales doing anyway? Do we know?
I think we've only announced the top 5 players who've ever played the game rather than the ticket sales.
Okay.
Going back to that briefly, because I was reminded of this earlier, the internet is full of everything's on the internet, but it's not. I've mentioned this before. There was a series on Channel 4 in the 90s called "Who is the Greatest" or whatever. Looking for who is the greatest sportsman of all time. Hosted by one of our great colleagues, Danny Kelly, and they had all these people on there. I can't remember who they were debating because there's no record of it online. But it ends up that the greatest sportsman of all time was Daley Thompson, who was one of the consultants on the programme. I reckon Kev's put his name on this list as his last parting shot when he was leaving.
He knows the code.
He got onto the internet and said, right, delete that one, delete that.
Who do you reckon he deleted?
Gary Schofield. There he is, Sir Kev, he's on there. Sir Kevin Timfield.
I'm off now, lads. I'll see you later.
Oh, really joking.
Just handed in my car keys, but I kept the password.
Well, really joking.
Yeah. Oh well, some random tweets appearing.
it was him all along.
Chris Sarte banned for 3 games for a late hit. It seems they're clamping down on this, which is good.
No, it was totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
I'm amazed he didn't get a card.
So that begs the question: why the ref saw it? Why did he not get?
Even if the ref didn't see it, the fourth official.
Yeah.
Saw it and could quite clearly.
Yeah.
That's a bit naughty. Give him 10.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe.
But it's going to get rid of it if they're going to keep banning him. They'll get rid of it.
Well, and the other thing is, and again, it was as close as that. You don't know if 10 minutes without Chris Sarte might have just swung it Hull KR's way. Yeah. So he deserved to sit out because clearly the offence has been.
Well, it's of no benefit to Hull KR, is it?
No,
a 3-game ban does not help Hull KR.
Because he's not playing against them in the next 3 weeks.
That was the other thing from the XFL. They mic'd up the referees in the review booth. So you can hear what they were going, like on the cricket and when the BBC do it. It was good, and I think the referees upstairs had more of an influence on what was going on the field. And I know American football is a stop-start sport, so there's more time for the referee to be told things, or the umpire, whatever it is. Didn't happen.
I mean, I was only going on the television pictures. I think you often need to be at a game to see exactly what happened, but it looked very late and potentially very dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you can't protect yourself when the hit comes from behind.
No.
He had ample time to pull out. Sometimes you look at people and you go,
what
was he supposed to do? He was already
leaping
in or whatever. And I just thought, that is exactly an occasion where if you're responsible, I mean, for all we know, a whiplash injury has occurred and the victim won't play this week. But that is something that, as a responsible sport that takes into account the welfare of players, which is something that we hear all the time, sit down for 10 minutes. Wasn't even put on report, and yet he's got a 3-game ban on the back of it.
Yeah. I see the Players' Union were involved in a Twitter
talking about too many games again.
About too many games. And I thought, well, you run the union, why don't you do something about it?
Withdraw your labour.
As with everything else, we always say, I don't want to say they're as bad as the politicians, but have some power. Maybe Rod will be discussing that on his new programme. Next time they do an episode. I've not seen it.
I'm glad that's on.
Okay.
Was that the other Rugby League programme? There you go.
No,
you can read
no, it wasn't. It'll be in the next one.
Don't read my thoughts on that because it's not in the magazine.
The fact that there's a bit more transparency and openness about the disciplinary process, I think is going to be good. I think getting somebody who is an agent provocateur to host it is good.
Yeah.
I think the justification of some of the decisions will make us understand a little bit more about what the judicial process is.
I am sorry, right, but I mentioned this to Rod, is that, and I know people say, well, it happens in normal law, but the 3-game ban for the player getting injured. So what would he have got if he hadn't have injured him? So if it's someone with a harder head, he'd only got 1 game or 2 games. Well, I don't. For me, it should be, well, you're getting 3 games anyway, but because he's injured, now you're getting 6.
I think the thing
and that's the way to get rid of it, because there was, I know Rod was commenting the week before with a Salford game when Welham, there were about 3 penalties in a row for high tackle, and you think there's no excuse for making those tackles. So why are they not getting punished?
I also think that the other thing about, if you're going to draw the analogy, that there is some amount of punishment related to the severity of the injury, not just the crime.
But I know I know that to be a fact is not right, because I know players that were cited last year and players were out for 3 months with an injury as a result of foul play. So I think one of them didn't even get charged, and the other one got a game ban. And there's a guy out for 3 months.
Said he had 2 guys that were injured by tackles.
The one at the bash. The one at the bash. Yeah, the centre. I forget his name. I forget his name.
Out for a season. So
what are
you going to do? Ban his?
Yeah. You know, and the guy, I think the guy got 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, it's not a season.
It's not the season, is it?
But
So-
I do think if you're going to have a programme like that and you're going to have disciplinary issues under scrutiny, it shouldn't be every month, it should be every week.
Yeah, and I would be interested, because we know what Rod's like, he'll have his say. When it gets a bit tasty, will there be as forthcoming with the information? And I don't think they will. I think it's to appease people. It's going to be interesting how that develops now.
Is that why it's once a month, so that if there's a really difficult case...
Well, how
within
do you get the consistency? It should
How do
be,
you
but
say-
then they might argue, well, there might not be enough judiciary this week, so you can't have a show when there's nothing to discuss.
I'm sure that you can...
But I'm sure if you give Rod the highlight or the full games, he would be able to say, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? And maybe that's what needs to happen.
I think they look at a lot more incidents than get charged for.
Yeah.
So you could go through and say, right, well, let's go through 10 minutes of this game. Tell me why that isn't on a charge. Or
I didn't notice any play the ball penalties this weekend.
I haven't really noticed that at all this year.
Although I have noticed that
The
certain
odd one.
players do play the ball actually really properly now.
Can I just say, I've never been that bothered by people.
There's some that blatantly don't, some that blatantly do. But again, it comes down to that. If you're going to do one, you do them all, and they'll soon learn.
Well, I just thought at the beginning of the season there's normally a purge on something for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that we would have had 20 penalties in every game until players changed how they played.
Yeah.
We haven't really had that.
No, we haven't. Can I ask, by the way, because I was watching it in the pub, the game, so I didn't have the noise on. Why wasn't Harvey Livette's try a double movement?
Well, that's been pointed out on Facebook as well.
Because I saw Alan Up made a comment and I went, I hope you're on about the Harvey Livette, because I'm watching it with my dad going, well, he's clearly, he was tackled a yard short, half a yard short, and he's clearly then rolled over. And it's like,
Well, there you go.
he was tackled.
If there isn't enough disciplinary in
Yeah, why is that not being
do
done?
the video ref
I
decision.
didn't know. They might have explained it on the time. I hadn't listened to it. I didn't see it, but
See,
I just thought they haven't even looked.
It goes back to what Richard says there. What you need is the audio of the person who is making the decision.
Yeah.
Because it might well be that the explanation they give, you go,
Was the right one.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
you go, bro.
From what I've seen and what you've seen, and,
Yeah.
and you know the full law, and you know if you're telling us that he was projected forward by the tackler coming in, we've got a rationale behind it.
Yeah, and you can.
But if you're just watching it and you're going, I don't see how it
I'm
comes
just
to
sitting at the pub going, I just can't believe why that's even.
that. How
not
good
been
was
looked.
Harvey Livette?
Yes, he's a good player.
I mean, I know that.
And by the way, why wasn't that last try allowed? Anyway, that was because it cost me a few quid. When actually to the naked eye, I said, "Oh, he's offside," and then you watch it and you think he's onside. But yet there was, because it was off. The old, oh well, he's giving it that way. You can't do it about it.
I don't know if Simon Walford's watching tonight because he's on the Super League show, so he might have been missing the show. I hope he's listening to the podcast.
No, I think he'd have recorded that earlier in the afternoon. Want to get back to listen to this.
Him and Gareth Ellis. Gareth Ellis, who should be above Kevin Sinfield on that list.
Yeah.
Simon Wolford
But I'm
interviewed in
biased,
the new
isn't it?
issue of Forty20.
Is it? Is
I
it?
never knew there was so much in it.
Very good.
Out this week.
Great interview with Tony Smith as well.
All right.
We know we're waiting behind.
Oh yeah. It better be because we had to wait 20 minutes for you to finish
Worth
talking.
it. It's worth it.
Probably worth it for him.
You had me running around getting his sandwiches and his water because we got knackered speaking to you.
Well, they used to have a pet snake, so you wouldn't want that set on you.
All right, okay, moving on. By the way,
If you
good
go back to
to
Brandon
another
Durham's
Mossy Massoy statement this week. Not statement, the social media himself.
Update.
Yeah, slowly but surely, fingers crossed, all that.
I have to
Good
say,
as well, Leeds this week.
got a magnificent National Health Service, and one of the best hospitals in this area is Pinner Fields for spinal injuries.
Yeah.
Whatever care he needs,
He'll get.
it really is specialist down there. And I think from reading his tweet and also talking to a couple of people that have been to see him, there is a little bit of hope now that in the next couple of weeks he might be in a wheelchair at the very least and mobile.
Yeah.
Great
Which will
interview
almost
with
encourage him.
Wella Haraki,
Yeah.
who said we're not going to touch his locker. He's got to come in and sort it out himself.
Yeah.
We're leaving it for him.
Yeah.
Two things. Well, if you're watching, why have you blocked us? Because he blocked the 4020 account. We don't know why. Because we never said anything bad about it. Two, I know everyone's in the business of donating to everything, but send some chocolates or something the way of the nurses and the doctors at Penfields.
They're doing a brilliant job.
Because they don't get any time to rest.
So that was good, and I know Leeds they're planning on tributes and whatever else. So whatever they're doing this week, there's Leeds do it very well. We know that.
Friday night, we get the chance not only to obviously keep Rob Burrows' profile high and what he's going through, but link that again to Mossy with Hull KR arriving at Headingley Collection for him, and I think a lot of the things like the programme will have articles in it about Mossy, and there will be a huge awareness and a giving.
Another good do at Leeds, by the way, the other night. What was it, 200 grand the race for the Borough course?
A corporate evening, so it was aimed predominantly at
big
sponsors. And
of course,
They got some fantastic guests, and again, we've talked about celebrity endorsement for the sport. If you can get people like Gareth Southgate there,
the England football man,
that is telling you something. Approximately £200,000 raised, an astonishing amount of money.
Yeah. I hope he enjoyed the grand final, because it was the Super Bowl. It was a good one.
He did.
Good. He could have gone to the year when it was crap.
He said he's taking further solace from Patrick Mahomes, and the fact that, again, didn't give in and written off and came back and showed people what he could do.
He did. Outstanding young man. Very good. Anything? What's happening social media?
No, it's fairly quiet tonight. Not in terms of people are watching.
People being blown away. Is that what we're saying? Being blown away by the storm.
It's the storm, innit? But people saying, where was it? KPW 81, bit harsh. I'm not sure injuries should make a difference to a ban. Otherwise, you have to ban everyone who fouls Kevin Brown for twice as long. Bit harsh. Bit harsh. Apparently, he played well on Saturday for Salford. Good. Which we haven't seen because we're not abroad.
No.
We should have got into this TV business. I wonder if they paid less than we were quoted to pay for Women's Super League.
Well, the mind boggles.
Or even what the rights are.
The mind
send
boggles.
Super League to Australia.
Yeah, exactly. Right, it's prediction time. How did we do last week?
Let's
have
I
did
rubbish this week. I only predicted one winner, which was Hull FC. Yeah, because I predicted Toronto.
I hope I got more.
I predicted Saints.
Most of us
Wigan. We all went Saints. We all went Wigan.
So.
Yeah, we all went Hull FC.
Well, you said only one. There were only 4 games, weren't there? Of course.
Yeah.
So did I get same as you then?
No, because you predicted Salford.
Oh, good. So I got 2. So what's the latest update then?
Well, the latest league table is you've got Phil Tom's top with 18. Then it's you with 16.
Yay.
Other is 15. So I think that's Danica, and I don't know who it was in week 1. And
John Davidson.
Yeah, but he's got his own column. So I don't know how that's worked. And
how many have you got?
I've got 14, and Scott's got 11 apart. But I'm not putting his results in from last week, so I don't know what they were.
No,
so
we'll
just delete him. He's
not it. Wigan, Toronto, Phil.
I think again this game's probably come a bit too early for Toronto. It's a really short turnaround. As we mentioned, Adrian Lamb deeply unimpressed with his team's performance. So he will expect a backlash. I think he'll probably get it. I'll go Wigan by 12.
Richard?
I'm going to go Wigan as well, but I think it's going to be narrower for some reason. Because they haven't quite hit where I think they will be come the end of the season. I'm going to go Wigan narrowly by 6.
Yeah, I'm similar. I think Wigan will win, but I think Toronto they're acclimatising. The big question is, what's Wigan's attack going to be like?
Well, they're making themselves tougher to beat Toronto.
Yeah,
so you're right. You're going to have to create.
And I almost think Toronto will be happy. Say, all right, we'll just go and have a scrap with you, and we'll just play it in the middle, and we'll see where that takes us. And I'd like to see Wigan, because I've said, I think they'll do all right this year. I'd like to see Wigan put some points on, but I'm not sure they will. So I'll go Wigan by. I'm going to go Wigan by 2.
2.
Yeah. The big one, the relegation playoff on Fridays at Headingley. Leeds Hull KR. Hull KR just dropped out of the playoffs this weekend. They're 6th now, but they're above Leeds, who are actually bottom of the Super League table.
I think
for another week.
I think the way Hull KR's win at Headingley last year was one of their highlights of the season. The manner in which they played.
Brilliant. First half an hour was unbelievable.
Absolutely, and I think they'll come with the same. Tactics. This might be one of those weeks where not playing is an advantage. So, although I think Leeds would have wanted to play it, having an extra week's rest at this time of the year probably isn't going to do them any harm. They may well get Stevie Ward back, who wouldn't have played this week because of concussion. I think coming out.
Another one that went off and came back on. and was out with
I
concussion.
think part of the issue, talking to someone who knows about these things, is delayed concussion. That there is a protocol that you pass to come back on, but then you get back in the dressing room after the game, and it sort of hits you.
Yeah. I have to say, I have had concussion playing rugby a couple of times.
And it's almost like the following day you wake up and you feel
yeah,
sick.
and once I got absolutely cleaned out, smashed in it fairly. It's just absolutely like one of them where I just passed it and the guy hit me. It was I had no beef about it, and I was like sat on the floor and the marbles were rolling round. Didn't think of it, and the day after was bad, really bad. I couldn't get out of bed for about 3 days.
Yeah,
I've been sick and
yeah.
stuff. But
so I think that does happen. That
yeah.
I think Stevie Ward's was a cut on the cheek, and it turned out to be concussion as well.
Fair enough.
Um,
So okay, by how many?
So I do think that in having come off a big derby, which will have emotionally obviously taken a fair amount out of Hull KR, I think it does favour Leeds that they didn't play this week, so I'm going Leeds by 10.
Rhinos, I mean, I don't know who the women's team are going to have selfies with this week. Maybe Sean Kenny Dowell. I don't know.
See, this is putting me under intense pressure now, because I actually do think Leeds will win.
Well, you can take Leeds.
Go on, what?
I've got Leeds by 8.
I think it'll be a basketball game, this, because I think Hull haven't got any big forwards, and neither have Leeds. So I think both teams will chuck it about. I think we'll see better of Leeds than we did in week 1. Hoping the pitch will be alright, given all this rain. The pitch could be an absolute nightmare.
That could be a stop.
A spoiler.
Carnegie's game was called off yesterday, so the disappointment of about 3 people. So,
I'm going to go Leeds. I think Leeds will win this way. I think this is a nice make-up for Leeds. And good win week 1, great performance, great effort last week, emotional week, nothing. Having to go away. They could have done with being at home, I think, this week. I'm going to go Leeds just. I think it'd be something, weather allowing, something like 36-32. I think it'll just be like a game of basketball. So Leeds by 4. I'm looking forward to this game. It's actually the TV game Friday. Salford, Huddersfield. We get to find out whether Huddersfield's opening win of the season, I'm not going to say a fluke, because it clearly wasn't, but can they kick on and win again?
Well, I think what we get is we get to see whether Salford are going to be the real deal this year. Because first week, obviously, they were blown away. Second week, found a way to beat Toronto, but weren't convincing. Again, I think Huddersfield will benefit from not playing this weekend. I think they'll be full of confidence from the way they played at the Dragons. I can see, again, Aidan Caesar being the dominant player in the middle of the field. I actually fancy Huddersfield with this one, and Huddersfield by 6.
Yeah, I'm going to be boring as well and go with the Giants.
No, we're going to be threatened by Salford fans.
The crowd will be interesting, won't it? Because obviously they blame, you can say, Toronto bring no people, so 4,000 is the benchmark for Salford. It'd be interesting to see what they got on a Friday night on the telly. We will have upset Rugby League's foremost expert on snakes now, Gemma Carter, by tipping against her Billowing Red Devils. Yeah. She's the big snake expert in Rugby League snakes, Gemma Carter. That's her thing.
Stuff you learn on this show.
Yeah.
Not worth knowing.
Giants -4.
Yeah.
Giants 4-8.
I think the Giants will win. You mentioned the week off. They had the week off. Perfect. Going away from home. I think the Giants will win. They won there last year as well, remember.
That was a horrible game.
Yeah.
But it was game of the season.
I'm going Huddersfield by 8. I think Salford will improve defensively from week 1. They won the other day. Catalans against Castleford. This is an interesting one. Saturday night, this one. 5 o'clock. We can all not watch it on the telly.
Oh, yeah.
I genuinely don't know.
Unless you're in Australia.
We'll get someone over there to live stream it on their phone on Facebook.
Yeah.
If Mr. F plays, I'm sure we'll find ways of seeing pictures of it. I genuinely don't know, because I thought Castleford would lose last week and they proved me wrong, which makes me loath to tip against them this week. I can't believe Catalans are going to be as bad as they were in their first home game, as good as Huddersfield were. I just thought Catalans were woeful. And they need to curry favour with their home fans. It would be a PR disaster if they were to lose their first 2 home games. Will all the hype surrounding the man who may or may not play distract from the Dragons, or will it inspire them? I genuinely don't know. I think perhaps then it's not a place you can go with 10 injuries and expect to win.
Yeah.
So for that reason alone, I'm going to go Catalan by 4. But if Cass win, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm going to go with the Tigers. Riding on the crest of a wave. I wonder how yesterday will have affected the Dragons having come over, not played, and had to go back.
What would they have done in Wakefield to keep themselves?
Hepworth Gallery?
No.
Coal Mining Museum?
No.
Yeah.
There'll have been Nando's.
Oh, Yorkshire Sculpture Park.
Nando's. Yorkshire Sculpture Park.
Not in that weather. There'll have been a Nando's.
Yeah.
Right? Double Nando's.
I mean, it's a good job it was this week because the week before there was the big fire at the bakery and it was shut Nando's, so rugby league players were screwed.
That might be why Waking didn't perform in week 1.
Well, it extends to staff at rugby league clubs as well. I understand the Nando's thing. Yeah, cast by, I don't know why, cast by 8. Sorry, there you go. Analysis.
First difference of opinion.
That's what they tuned in for. Where's Jeffrey Wheeler when you need him?
Can't overlook how comprehensively beat Catalans were in week 1. I'm sorry, but I can't.
Mm-hmm. By a team they were expected to beat as well.
Yeah, I'm going against myself here, but I've got to go Castleford. I'm going Castleford in a narrow one by 2.
Unbeaten start.
Unbeaten Cass. Hull Saints, Sunday.
Really looking forward to this. I think that will tell us, I think, Hull's credentials, because they're playing without 2 of their big forwards who they've signed. If they've got genuine pretensions, they need to harness the goodwill of 20,000 people turning up this week.
Yeah.
They're getting Saints, in some respects, the right week, because we've got our minds on what might be happening the week after. But Saints have got to put in a performance. They need to build themselves up to play the Roosters. We don't know at this early stage in the season how many of the guys that aren't fit for Saints are gonna play. I think some of the ones like James Roby and Tommy Makers, if they genuinely are going to play in the World Club, you almost need them to play this week. I just at the moment think that probably Hull have got that necessary competition for places that makes them a real threat. And I'm going to go Hull by 8.
Rich?
Next week we'll have our scientific prediction of the World Club Challenge, so make sure you stay tuned for that.
Scientific?
After yesterday we brought you Bramley 1, Highfield 1, which if you've not seen it is well worth a watch. This is the game now where we're all bullying up Hull as the greatest thing since sliced bread, them and Warrington. So this is usually the part where they lose, but I think they will win. And I think it'd be narrow, I think it'd be close. Maybe I should go Golden Point because Mark Sneed is the king of the Golden Point, but I've got them to win by a Mark Sneed score off his boot by 2.
Yeah, I think Christian Wolfe was gobsmacked as to how bad his team were last week.
Yes.
And I know they were beaten by a very good team, but I think he was very disappointed.
A lot of mistakes.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be that bad again, but I think Hull on the back of that derby, like you said, they were poor at home last year. They've got to win this game for me. And I think this is a game Saints don't need the week before the World Cup. I know they want a tough tack. This is too tough. Away from home. I think Hull will win by 8. Final one, and make it quick because we're done for time. Wakey against Warrington.
Warrington by 10. Very, very impressed with them this week.
Yeah. I have to say, Wakefield every week, don't I now? Until I get found out. Wakefield by 2. We only beat them last year.
You did. If you hadn't given him 30 start, you probably would have been. I'm going to go Warrington. I think Warrington will win by 14. There you go. Michael, if you listen, I'm sorry. Phil, thank you as ever.
Pleasure.
Thank you biscuits.
Thank you for the biscuits.
Thank you to you, Rich, as ever. And thank you to you for listening, watching, subscribe. We'll see you next week.